Welcome to the 6th annual October special of the Keep Up podcast.
Where even the creepy creatures of the night that are behind us right now won't stop us.
I seriously, if you... Dude,
What a good start.
jump scares all night, baby.
It was a leaf. We do have a tree above us, a tree behind us. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, I want you to know this episode might not sound any different to you. I think audibly,
Yeah,
it is, it might be the same.
it might be, yeah.
The hope is that you'll hear some creepy creatures because we are, in fact, outside.
We are outside in the most New England October night setting you could imagine.
Not only that, it is currently 10:18 p.m.
Yeah.
on Thursday night. So all of our neighbors are going to be so mad at us
They're
and
gonna be
yelling
very angry
that we're recording this outside
at
at
this
night.
little impromptu site that we have, or set that we have set up here.
I'm curious how many leaves we'll collect by the end
Yeah,
of it.
we've
Wait,
got 3 so far. Very aesthetic.
there we go. Now, if you're listening, it sounds like you're here with us
Right.
in the darkness.
Yeah, that's pretty much all the details you need to know.
Yes.
We have our backs to the woods.
And Brett is terrified. I'm totally fine.
I don't do well with woods.
It's funny because you're like the horror guy,
Yeah.
but when the horror things are happening, you're not here for it.
Well, my wife's theory is that is why I get scared of things, is because she's like, I don't watch horror movies and the things that scare you don't scare me. And I'm like, that's because you're ill prepared.
I feel like I'm more prepared. Now I know
Yeah.
what kind of creature, like I can identify the creature attacking us or the
Sure.
killer, or I'll die first and it won't matter.
No, that's good to know what's going to kill you right before it kills you.
Yeah.
I guess I see the benefit.
Having the knowledge is helpful.
I want to clarify, the woods during the day is one of my favorite places to be.
Mm-hmm.
The woods at night could be cool, but like, I don't feel great that our backs are just to this treacherous looking tree line.
I personally love it. I can't wait to hear, like, we got creatures back here all the time.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of noisy and we have the lights on, so it's not going to be as open for them to come and hang out. But who knows?
Right.
You guys might catch something in the background.
We do have a couple snacks here.
Yes.
If we get attacked by bears, it's going to be the most well-lit bear attack.
Well, we're going to eat them,
internet.
like, in just a minute. They won't-
Bears?
Well, yeah, but no, the snacks. Then they won't know.
We are, that's true. We better hurry up with that.
So if you've never been here, also, welcome.
Welcome to the Keep Up Podcast, where I'm Brett and Tim is Tim.
That's me.
We talk about all the things we consume, be it media or food, and we have not recorded in
2
2
months.
months.
2 months.
It was meant to be a month. There were a lot of injuries and crazy goings on in the Keep Up camp.
Yep.
But we decided to just come back with the special, and now we're back, and we're very excited.
Back.
We just hit a sub goal on YouTube.
Yo, thank you.
This episode is fully fueled. I just heard a weird noise.
It was a plane, I think.
Was it?
That's the other thing is I will be hearing a lot more noises than Brett will because he has headphones.
And noises will sound weird to me because
right.
it's coming through the
through the
mics.
microphone.
Yeah.
So I will be more aware. If I can just get up and run, Brett will never know. Brett will. I mean, he'll know, but he won't know what's
I'll
coming.
just be like, why is he running?
Why is he leaving?
No, if you even look in a weird way,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
I've heard some noises. So if we look manic, well, I'll be fine. Brett's going to be very manic this whole episode.
You're the worst, like, co-star in a horror film because you won't flinch. You'll be like, oh, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fine. And then a bear takes our heads off.
I'm the guy who's seen every horror movie and can talk about it and be like, oh, this killer's going to come and get that. And then
You know
I
the
die.
rules.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I die like,
And then nobody knows what to do because
Right,
the
everyone
rules
sees
guy is
dead.
gone. Speaking of rules, the only rule about this episode, the only rule this episode has, the only rule on this episode is that it is fully fueled by you, our listeners, and our audience. So everything we talk about throughout this episode were our recommendations from you guys. Why are you looking behind you?
nothing. I'm just looking. So yes, thank you to everybody out there who suggested either a
How
movie
dare you
or
pick up where I left off because you scared me?
You're the one who's looking all afraid. So I got to keep the podcast moving. I got to keep it going. I'm
Why
not
did
afraid.
you look?
Nothing.
Okay.
I just heard something. That's fine.
Yeah, so everything we talk about today is a recommendation from you guys. Our October special is the first special we ever did 6 years ago, which that's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's ready to go to the first grade.
It is getting there, yeah.
I guess so.
Or it is.
Yeah, 6 years old.
Right?
5 or 6.
No, 6 or 7, I thought.
7 means you missed the bus. It means it's too bad,
For a
so
whole
sad. Well, isn't there like a cutoff?
This is not listener recommended content.
It's true. So let's start with our very first recommendation.
Yes.
From Jesse's Floating Castle.
Now, Jesse's recommendation, I promise there aren't going to be a lot of alterations. Some of these are going to turn into great video ideas, which I'm really excited about. Jesse requested a candy corn eating food challenge, which I said maybe for the episode.
We should have looked up what the world record is.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I can right now. We
you
have
want to?
technology. What do you think? Take a guess.
Oh, the world record has to be something stupid.
Something
there's some,
obnoxious.
There's some like top tier eaters in the world now.
What's the most? Okay, let me ask this first. What's the most you can eat in a single setting of candy corn?
So my thought is like, there's no way I could, like a bag has to feel weird because candy corn isn't a thing that I ever eat much of.
Right. It's something that like I'll have and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is something that I like. I don't know if I actually like it or not.
right. And I am an enjoyer. I'm sort of a stop. Oh my gosh, dude. It's terrifying.
I just heard the crunches.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't stop looking around.
It was scary.
Wow. So I'm someone who like I like candy corn.
Yes.
But I think the most I've ever had is like 2 or 3 handfuls.
Yeah, even that's gross.
No.
Dude,
So,
you hear that?
I mean, records got to be how many are in a bag, do you think?
Do you think it's based on like time?
No, I'm just thinking like what? Why did my question? Can you just find the thing? I have half your attention and it's making this
No,
conversation
I'm
weird.
listening. like the bag would represent how fast. Like you're saying they would just eat a bag?
No, I'm trying to get an estimate. Did you find it yet?
I found 2, and one is most candy corns fit in a closed mouth, and fastest time to eat 3 pounds of candy corn.
3
So these aren't even official world records.
I did not expect the weight to be in pounds.
They're legit. I don't think there is a record.
How many pieces of candy corn do you think it takes to make 3 pounds?
The video's 5 minutes and 57 seconds.
You can watch it?
Yeah, it's a website called Record Setter, which is just where people can do world record attempts without having to go through Guinness and like challenge other people and stuff. Is Mom still out here?
I don't know. I
I can't tell. Oh,
Are those
I see some
pumpkins?
lights.
I don't know.
So yeah, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 20 minutes to eat 3 pounds of candy corn.
Dude,
Bro, Brett's gonna be jumping this whole
the
podcast.
leaves are scaring me. Yeah, and we just had a small audience on the porch.
I think she closed the door, but I don't know if she went in or out.
It was really scary because you were looking under the porch.
because it's legit sounded like I was like, how did Mom get under there? And with the lights, it's blinding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we can't see behind the lights or behind us. So, anyways, we're not going for the record here, but
That was the best tangent.
we wanted to shout out Jesse
Yes.
because we're gonna start. Other than this like 10-minute
Intro, right.
We're gonna start the special with a celebratory or a ceremonial celebratory candy corn.
That's a lot of C's.
You know what I mean?
Let's clash them together.
Clash them.
Yeah, we're keeping the C's going.
You went with a classic candy corn. I went with a pumpkin.
And let's consume. I hit my tooth.
What?
It's candy corn.
You like candy corn?
The thing with candy corn is I hate its texture.
I like it.
Flavor's good. Mm-hmm. It's very sugary. It is just like
It
pure.
just is sugar.
Yeah, it's like waxy sugar.
It feels like it's just edible plastic, I guess, is like how I would describe the texture.
Yeah, like if you see like a kid's version of food, like they have the toys where it's the kitchen set and they got the broccoli.
Yeah.
That's like what it feels like to eat it. What that looks like is what it feels like to eat.
That also felt like we were taking communion. We're just like,
But it's for the devil, I guess.
yikes, dude. Well, it's just
What else is out here at night?
It's
I don't
just-
see any angels.
It's just spooky outside. It doesn't have to be a satanic ritual.
I hope at the end of this, one of us gets like sucked down to hell.
I do not hope that, for the record.
I hope it's Brett. He has committed lots of crimes. I'm getting a taste of peanut butter.
Why?
I think because I had peanut butter hot dogs earlier.
Oh, okay. That's weird. So the candy corn's like
Rem-
kicking something
reminding
up.
me, yeah.
That's real weird.
Well, that was food.
That was food. What a way to start. I like candy corn. I want 2 things in the comments. I want to know if you're yes or no on candy corn and pumpkins are traditional. Because to me, pumpkins are better.
Then what?
The traditional, regular candy corn.
What's the difference?
One's a pumpkin.
The pumpkin's more, so no. I want just the candy corn.
Okay.
I don't want more.
The pumpkin is more. I eat less of the pumpkins, but I like the pumpkin better.
They're good.
Yeah. You put in here, there was also a recommendation, which I've never seen this done. I don't know if this is a regular thing, but Jesse recommended bobbing for apples, but one of them's an onion.
That is an insane idea.
And I really like that idea. I think it's super funny. We don't have the production
the way to
crew
do it, yeah.
to do this. But you said you had a bobbing for apples story.
Yes. It's not like a crazy story. It's more so of just like how we did bobbing for apples.
Okay.
And I'm very curious to know if people out there also did this.
Was
or
I there for this?
You might have been. Our age difference gives us 2 different memories of like a Halloween and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like by the time I was like 8, you were what, 16?
Yeah.
So you were kind of out of the trick or treating. I don't know if you were out of doing Halloween stuff, but were you trick or treating at 16?
It's probably at parties or something.
Yeah, I don't have any memory of you going with us too much.
We would have been when I was 16. I'm trying to remember where we lived because I did like sometimes go out with friends and we would hit some houses, but then we would like land at one of our houses and just hang out.
Yep.
So, and then sometimes I think we would have like parties that we were all at, but I don't remember a bobbing for apples tradition.
So that
what
happened pretty much every year for us when we were kids. Is we would. You made me hit the mic. I was scared.
Oh, that scared you.
Yeah. Well, you're right next to me. I can see you. Yeah. So the bobbing for apple story is every year we would bob for apples. It would be the first thing we do because we traditionally would go to Boston and trick or treat. Which I gotta say, trick or treating in Boston,
Next level.
if you can do it in a city,
Yeah.
travel there. It doesn't matter. Don't do your local little Bobby down the street gives full size candy bar. It's not worth it because you can get 30 baby candy bars in 5 houses in Mass.
Bobby, I still appreciate your full size candy bar, just for the record.
No, I don't trust Bobby.
He's gonna put razor blades in yours.
Well,
it's me, Bobby.
so I've learned that the only way I've bobbed for apples in my life is they all have money in them. So what? What? Our mom used to do, and our aunt, they would put quarters and fill up the apples with quarters.
I do remember that's very dangerous.
It's thinking about it now, it's not only is it disgusting, we're putting our faces in money water, dirty apple. Did they clean the apples before? They just throw it in the water.
I highly doubt it.
I distinctly remember picking up apples by the quarter. Like
Yes.
I would like and bite the quarter and pull it up.
Yeah, not only are you putting your mouth on likely uncleaned apples, but then change that I'm sure they didn't run through the wash first.
No.
And the potential to swallow coins while you're using only your mouth to pick up money-ridden fruit, or the potential to like chip a tooth on it.
Oh my God!
While you're just diving.
Let me just bite into this quarter.
There's like
full force.
At the end, there's just like dirty, dusty water with like blood and children's
Couple
teeth in it. It's terrible.
That is the advantage we had. It was children's teeth. So if we lost them, we would.
Oh, well. Hey, you lost a tooth. You
Right.
got a quarter. You lost a tooth.
Gonna get some extra money tonight.
Let's go.
Oh, so the whole point of telling that story is I wonder if other people have had that experience.
I'm curious too. Was that just something our family did? Because I do remember that now, and I think I remember, like, I don't specifically remember when it started, but I think I remember a year where I was like, "There's money in it." Like, I don't remember that being a thing.
No, that's all I remember is that money was part of bobbing for apples, and I always see like people doing it without money.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time trying it without money.
That's a good point too. Like, even when it's depicted in movies and stuff like that, I've never seen that version of it.
No, if anything, there's razor blades in it. Like if you're watching a horror movie.
Maybe that's where they got the idea.
Yeah.
I put that one on Mom. I would imagine Mom would be like, what if I don't want to put razor blades in it because I feel like that'll ruin the party.
I don't think we can fit, chocolate bars in there. What's next?
Maybe quarters. If we can't do chocolate or razor sharp objects, let's just do quarters.
Quarters.
Was it only quarters? Do you remember getting pennies? Because that seems not worth it.
Maybe dimes.
Was there any wet bills?
I don't think, no.
I don't remember any wet bills.
No. I remember, like, sometimes when we did the Easter egg hunt, that had money in it and stuff, too.
Yes. Yeah.
But that, yeah, no wet bills. It was just change.
Change is the way to go, I think.
Yeah.
Albeit pretty gross.
Yeah, when
But-
you think about it. So that's my bobbing for apples story.
Yeah.
Is we just did it in a way that I don't think anybody has ever done.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else, but I am familiar with it from my childhood. Now that you bring it up again, I'm like, that is a thing that we did.
That is.
And speaking of mom,
Yes.
first of all, shout out to Jesse's Floating Castle. Thank you for those submissions. Some of the first questions we got were a list from our mom who
Yes.
contributed to the podcast.
She was in the last episode.
She was in the last episode. If
Episode
you didn't catch
300.
that, episode 300, the last one before our break. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Tim
Thank you to everyone who watched it. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of views on it.
It's true. There's good reaction to
Who
that.
doesn't love Mom?
I can't think of anyone. She was a great guest.
Yes,
It was a lot of fun. And you had a couple surprise things. Tim surprised us with like a horror quiz.
I
and-
got surprises.
yeah, it was a good time. So she submitted a few questions, and I thought a good way early on in the podcast to keep things rolling was just to ask these questions. I don't even remember what they were. So the first one is, I don't remember if we've ever answered this before, but what was your best costume ever?
Oh, I feel like maybe we did talk about it, but just we'll talk about it again.
Yeah, I've had some recent ones that I really liked.
That's what comes into mind to me is the more recent ones I've had feel like they had a bigger impact in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Santa Claus
Yes.
and Ranch.
Oh, man.
I think both of those Halloweens, like people they loved the costume.
Santa was one of the best ones, and that was also one of our best years, like going out and trick or treating.
And granted, we were 27 and
I want to be clear. This was about 2 years ago. So we did bring, like, my kids were with us and stuff, and
that was like one of the best years trick or treating.
it was awesome. Like, actually, no, it must have been the year after shutdown, right?
Right, because I remember people had like there was like the second floor of this house that had the
Yes.
big, like, what do you call that?
It was like a shoot, like a
shoot, yeah.
mail shoot, but they were launching candy down it. So it was the year after shutdown, and we didn't know this. Like, I had just gotten a house. And we had just moved to this small town, and it was our first year trick or treating there. So you guys came up, and we had no idea we moved into like Halloween Town. It was amazing. Like
Your town is really cool for Halloween.
it was crazy. That building in particular, there was a dude with a mask and like a second or third story window just launching candy down the chute. As
Which
you
how
walked
fun
by.
is that?
So fun, you know? And then there was another, like a couple doors down, a few people in this like multifamily building set up a table with like hot chocolate, full-size candy bars,
yeah, I remember
donuts,
that.
muffins.
Yeah.
And we got comic books that year.
Yep.
We've brought it up before.
McDonald's toys or whatever.
Yes, old like throwback McDonald's toys.
Yeah.
I will remember that year for the rest of my life.
It's definitely one of the best.
And then after we hit like everything we just mentioned, we found out like someone was like, "Oh, did you guys go to Donna Drive?" And we were like, "What?
Where's that?
And there was this street like not too far from us. You had to drive there, but it was another like huge run of houses where they had one house had a whole haunt set up in their yard that you walk through.
Someone's playing Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, just the movie projected on their house. Like it was sick. It was crazy. And Tim dressed up as Santa Claus that year. And the shout outs all night. That's how you know you have a good costume when you're getting shouted at. People are just like, Santa Claus, what am I getting for Christmas?
so many
It
times
was
I was
such
asked
a
that.
good costume because it was just a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's one of my favorites of yours. Do you have one from when you were a kid that you always think back to?
The one that sticks in my head the most is Frank and Tim.
I can picture it immediately.
Yeah,
so
it's
it is
like,
iconic.
It's one of my most iconic. Wow, that's a lot of leaves.
I hope they flew by the lens
Yeah.
just then because that's kind of sick.
We can't talk about it when it happens, though. Then it's not cool.
I know.
You got to let it naturally happen.
I don't even know what you're referring to.
Nothing. Frank and Tim.
Yeah.
It was a Frankenstein costume, but it was just like a headpiece that was Frankenstein's head. Painted my face green. I had like big shoulders. It was the Frankenstein outfit.
It was a good one.
That one's pretty classic because
Yeah.
I was a ninja bunch. I was a bunch of different like ghouls. I did have one mask that was 2 glowing red eyes, and it would just turn like on and
I think
off.
I remember that one.
And it was kind of like a Grim Reaper. Like I had like the
Yeah.
hood and the outfit.
That's
and,
cool.
But yeah, I would say Frank and Tim is probably the most memorable one as a kid.
Yeah.
And then probably Santa or Ranch. Ranch is really good because that one was just like it's Ranch. Who doesn't love Ranch?
Yeah.
But Santa might have been the best.
I know. I wonder who like called your name the most. or called out your costume the most, whether it was for Santa or for Ranch?
Ranch might have.
It happened both years.
Because I was yelling ranch. Anytime someone was like ranch, I would be like ranch, and I would be loud about it. So
people love ranch dressing, dude.
it's a classic.
So funny. I think mine, and it's become like legendary in our family, is the haunted mask.
That is, it still gets used.
Yeah, the haunted mask from Goosebumps. After the TV series came out, I got a mask it's got to be from like that year.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so old.
Yeah, and we still have the mask. It has started ripping up the back a little bit, but it's so sick. My daughter wore it a couple years ago and was even more authentic because she looks more like Carly Beth and is probably more like closer to her age, you know? And she did like the head on the stick thing. I found the picture the other day and I was like, oh, she crushed this.
Crushed it.
So good. That year, I forgot too, Jazz was Slappy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was the werewolf of Fever Swamp,
Which
essentially.
I think that costume was one of your best.
That was a fun one.
That was really
I might use
good.
that again this year.
I know. People ask me, like, what are you going to be for Halloween? And I didn't really get anything.
I didn't either. I've been hoping the kids figure out what they're going to do, and I just haven't thought about it, but I might try to repurpose the wolf for the third time. Because I did Business Wolf the first year.
Yes.
/ Wolf of Wall Street. I just wore a suit and a werewolf mask and hands. But so I would have to say those are two of my favorites. The wolf, but as a kid, the haunted mask was like...
So good.
I still love that mask.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking up at?
The lights are turning on.
Oh, the tree's pretty cool.
The tree.
Kind of didn't realize we were directly under a tree. This might be the coolest keep up set ever.
It might be better than our normal one.
Do we start like a
Doing
horror
things-
sub channel just so we like film out here every night?
Dude, we could do that.
Because this context doesn't make a lot of sense for our normal content.
No, it totally does. It's a Halloween special.
Well, I know for this, but I'm
Uh-huh.
just saying there's no reason
Oh.
we could like.
Unless we review scary stuff.
I guess
If
yeah.
we're reviewing scary movie or a scary game.
This was easier to set up than I thought it was going to.
Oh
be.
yeah, I knew it was gonna work great.
Next question.
Yes.
Favorite Universal monster. Let me start with this. Have you seen all the like original Universal Monsters movies?
No, and I don't even know if I could name every single one.
So off the top, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Creature, Invisible Man,
The Mummy,
The Mummy, and
Dr.
then
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I
I don't know if he had a Universal movie,
I don't
but
know
he
either.
was part of the new, like the Dark Universe.
Oh, right.
Which was owned by Universal. So.
Right. Yeah, I think she's talking original. This is our mom we're talking about,
Right.
and she's probably going original. And then Bride. Do you include Bride?
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. But she's not
No,
one
Corpse Bride.
well, I thought Bride of Chucky. No, so
This is the coolest.
it was cool until you said something, Brett.
No, I can revel in it.
It was really cool what just happened.
Why are you against joy, Tim? Why do you hate joy?
Because it's content. Look at all these leaves.
Joy can be content.
Joy to the world.
Not yet.
Okay.
Although I am wearing a abridged attire.
Yeah, he's going back and forth.
I'm right between, because after Halloween,
Apparently, there's a no Thanksgiving.
there is, but it's like I'm in Christmas mode at that point, so I'm wearing my Krampus hoodie over my Krampus t-shirt.
Dude, I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
It's pretty cool.
And I do commend your Evil Dead 2 shirt.
That has no Evil Dead on the arms.
No, but it's right. It's dead center here. And it's Evil Dead 2. Oh,
Right.
wait. What's it say over there?
Evil 2 Dead.
Does it say, we'll swallow your soul?
Swallow your soul.
I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
So I'm going to go with Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. So I want to lean Frankenstein because I read the book a couple years ago, and man, it is a masterpiece.
Oh, and the movie's really good.
I've still never seen the movie, which is silly business. But I also feel like I need to say Wolfman because I'm a werewolf guy, and that's like he's like the he's the OG.
Yeah. Yeah, because I haven't seen them all, so I can't speak for a lot of the other ones.
I do love the creature though.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest designs, like creature designs.
I really want to see the Mummy too, because I love the new mummies.
Right.
Not the new one with Tom Cruise, but with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. That's true. All right, so you got to pick one.
Okay, someone's like actually walking back there. No joke. It might be like a animal.
You're being serious?
Yeah. It stopped though. That's terrifying.
Is it someone messing with us?
I don't think so. Who would go back there?
I don't know.
Oh, that's creepy.
Did you hear anyone over there?
No, it was all like back there. I'm not joking. There was something shuffling over there.
Do we check? Do we take a break?
No, let's keep going. I'll see them in my peripheral. And we can just use our microphone, smack them in the head. This bottom part. Although they're hearing our plan, which isn't good.
I feel so anxious now.
It was like, you didn't hear it at all?
No.
No, it was like serious shifting back there. It could be like a raccoon or a friggin' squirrel or
That'd be
something.
my guess, but
On with the show.
now, how do I not look behind me now?
I mean, you can do the podcast from backwards. Just spin around. I don't know what to tell you. I don't see anything.
Are you hearing anything else?
No. It was like a handful of steps, but like I feel like we would hear the steps if they were coming from far away.
Yes.
So I only just heard like shifting.
Could have been a squirrel or something.
Yeah, maybe it dropped from a tree and it was like
Yeah.
it stopped, whatever it was.
Did it sound like human steps?
It sounded like shuffling. That's how I would describe
Oh,
it.
that's an animal. It's a small animal.
Like human shuffling, like zombie shuffling.
Immediately specifies that it was human shuffling.
It sounded human. I don't know.
I feel uncomfortable.
I scared Brett out of the podcast. Brett, we have a lot to go through.
I know. We've barely started.
You're fine. You're fine.
Do I go Wolfman?
I feel like it's only fair if you've like seen the movie or read the book or I don't know. You can on just because you think
I think
the
I'm going
design's cool.
creature.
Okay.
I actually think the original Wolfman design, I like a full wolf, a fully formed wolf werewolf type design. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't stop thinking about what's going on behind me.
Some kind of weird shifting.
Okay, so cool. One more question. Have you watched any of the Abbott and Costello Meets monster movies? I have not.
Me neither. I have seen like clips here and there of it, and I hear they're pretty iconic. But it's a type of humor that I think is classic and really good. But I think it's like you have to be in the right mood.
Yeah.
It's got to be the right time of year.
Yes.
And I think it's one of those that like I think I will like, but I need to be really ready for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I often forget that they exist until I'm like watching an interview with someone who's typically like a horror director or something. What is that? Is that a plane?
A plane, yep.
Dude, that coming through the... Sorry, there's a particular set of branches behind us that is oddly humanoid.
I'm hearing lots of shuffling
Where?
over there now. Might be just trees. You hear that walking back there? Fred's just looking at me.
That's leaves, right?
That's leaves right now. This is going to be fun to edit, or you'll leave it in. I don't know. You'll have to leave some parts in.
Yeah.
But you did hear the shuffling back there, right?
I don't know. Could be leaves too.
It was heavy, though.
Doesn't
Heavy
sound
shuffling.
like it's me. I'm trying to hear what you're hearing so I can decide whether it's scary or not.
It keeps happening like a little bit.
That makes me think it's animals.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be people back there.
Or someone intentionally.
Sometimes
doing
there are
that.
people back there. You'll hear like people laughing and stuff, like homeless. It's happened a couple times in the 12 years we've been here or whatever.
How do you know they're homeless?
Well,
Maybe
I,
it's someone.
I guess they don't know.
One
that.
time we went back there. We were just like, hey, let's go film something in the woods.
in the dark.
And we went, and it was like started to be sundown, and then by the time we were in there, it was pitch black.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely pitch black.
and the footage for that is great.
Is it? I feel like
Yeah.
you can barely see it.
No, it's the best. I think we're good. I'm not
Okay.
worried.
All right. Um, So yeah, I forget those Abbott and Costello meets monster movies exist until I hear an interview about them or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I should watch those at some point. I feel like they're akin to like the Scooby Doo,
Yes.
like celebrity episodes, you know,
Absolutely.
which are also super fun. So shout out to Mom for giving us some recommendations for this episode. If you want more, go back to episode number 300. It was a blast. She was a great guest. You should check that out. Next recommendation.
Yes.
Came from our friend Purple Mohawk.
I don't know if we specified, by the way, but this episode's a little different where we're not
Yes.
going to be going through our categories like usual. Instead, we're just going to be going by recommendation order.
Great point, Tim.
How we have them listed.
Great
So
point,
if you're
Tim.
wondering, like, wait, why aren't they going to movies? Why aren't they doing that? It was just better to do it this way.
Yeah,
A different way.
We've found in the past on specials when we do like our categories, we're like bouncing back and forth from like different suggestions from people in different, you know what I mean? So it just makes more sense this way.
Yeah.
Anyways, Purple Mohawk recommended, she had a movie recommendation and then a question for us.
Yes.
A couple that I'm actually interested to hear your answers for. So the movie recommendation was House of Spoils.
Yes, which I've heard nothing about until she recommended it to us.
And if you've not heard of it, if this is your first time here, we don't do spoilers on the podcast.
Yes.
So if we bring up anything that you haven't seen yet, you're good to hang out. Please do. From Prime, which is where you can watch this movie right now. House of Spoils tells the story of a chef who opens her first restaurant where she battles. My typing was weird on this. I apologize. Where she battles kitchen chaos, a dubious investor, and self-doubt. But the pressure heats up thanks to the spirit of the estate's previous owner, who threatens to sabotage her.
You wrote that?
No, I stole it from Prime. But I when I say my typing was weird, what I mean was I didn't know if that said bottles or battles, and it's because my computer's a little far away from me.
Did you copy and paste it?
I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So
I
the word
like,
was
if
right.
you typed that whole thing.
It had nothing to do with my
Okay,
typing.
gotcha.
be
It
honest.
was just hard to see.
Yeah, it was hard to see.
It's okay.
And I panicked, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry for
The
what
fear sets in.
sorry for what I said.
Yeah, so with that description, I think a lot of people still be perplexed when they first go into this movie.
Yeah, it's I agree.
It's because the tone it gives off from the beginning is
Mm-hmm.
it definitely feels like a kitchen movie, a chef movie,
Yeah.
not a horror film.
No,
and
not
it
at all.
really it doesn't happen until like 30 minutes in when the horror starts kicking in.
Yeah, it might even be closer to 40 because I was checking. I knew it had an ominous tone. It was being recommended for this episode, which people normally send us horror movies. I had heard something about it. I think I saw an ad for it in a place where I was like, "Oh, this must be another horror movie." And what's that up in the window?
I think it's Mom.
Sorry, I caught my eye. So I knew what it was going to be, but you wouldn't if you had no like precedent for what it was.
Yep.
You're just kind of figuring out like what is the tone of this movie, and
Even from the cover art, it's just like her with like a creepy looking house behind, but you
Yeah.
would think it's like a I don't know, like a horror cooking show
Yeah.
or not horror, I'm sorry, just like a cooking show but related to like spoil food or something like
right. And with it feels like a really cool. I should say this, like it feels really good. Like when I was watching it, I was like, I'm already invested in this. There's already like a huge interest in food. Like I think since the Food Network, we've all been very well aware.
I
of,
mean,
like,
we do just eat food all the time. It is
Yeah.
a human thing.
I guess I should specify like food entertainment, you know, like competitive cooking shows and all that stuff. And it feels like a movie that's like, all right, let's take that and put that in a really aggressive atmosphere. And it feels
Yes.
like just a really great drama. So the movie to me felt a lot like Mike Flanagan's work, who's done like Haunting of Hill House,
Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. That's the one I was trying to think of. And then particularly to me, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Bly Manor?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bly Manor.
Blah mama.
And what reminded me of his work about this movie is it feels like that, like a really great drama as the foundation for a horror story.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
You know?
because I read your note and you said Mike Flanagan, and I was like, this doesn't feel like it, but I see the angle now that you're saying it. I see what you're meaning with
In
it.
that way, where it's like there are moments in Mike Flanagan's work where you're like, this is just like a great story.
Yes.
Nothing really scary happened, but maybe the end of an episode or whatever. I will say this one, the biggest difference is the tone is so not scary for the majority of the film that any spooky stuff that happens almost feels out of place. Especially at, which we can talk more about this later, but especially at the end. But yeah, there's only like a few scares throughout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
I would say even the scares that happen are, I didn't really jump at any of them.
There's one that's well crafted, in my opinion. It's a good like misdirect and then jump scare kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's cool. It's a moot point, in my opinion, plot wise. But there were a couple moments like that were cool. The rest of it is just kind of like spooky haunted house happenings in regards to the food, like, you know, for some reason going moldy or appearing a certain way or whatever, like way more quickly than it should, like overnight things rotting. It's that kind of stuff. What was your overall take on it?
I really like. I always really enjoy watching like these kitchen movies, these chef movies. I think they're always like slick and fast, and seeing how intense kitchens can get.
Yeah, it really
like,
is.
Yeah, and especially being someone who worked in a kitchen, I'm like, this is
that's
real.
right. Yeah.
So it always hits pretty good. So I like those type of movies.
Yeah.
So when this movie started that way, I was like, oh, I think this is going to be like really, really good.
Yeah.
Where it ultimately ends up and the path we took to get there, I didn't love.
Yeah.
I felt like some of it was kind of, I just didn't like care for it. I just wanted more of the cooking stuff, I think. Not to say I disliked it. I think I did overall by the end of it enjoy it. Even if the ending's kind of weird, it's definitely different. But I think try not to spoil it. How's the spoils?
Nice.
I think like the concepts are really cool. I don't really like what the scary part is. I feel like there's. I'd rather it end up being something a little different than what it was.
Yeah.
So it was a little unsatisfying in that regard. But overall, I think it's a solid watch. I think it's fun to watch because there are some cool ideas. Even if I didn't find the scariness to be what I want it to be, I think a lot of people will enjoy it because it is cool. It is fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about this movie that I would want to tell someone is like, it leaves you with something to talk about. In my opinion, I think the ending left me with multiple questions about the practicality of what happens, as well as the spooky aspect, and that storyline to me doesn't make any sense. To me, what happens at the end makes the things that happen throughout the movie that are like supposed to be scary not make any sense. Like I don't think there's any precedent for the reveal or because there's something of a twist, and the twist makes multiple things that happened before just not. I had questions like, why would this have happened if this is the reality of what's going on? That being said, the finale was cool. It had some really satisfying moments, but they were mostly satisfied in the dramatic plot, in my mind.
Yes.
Or in my opinion, I should say, because that's kind of where I was looking to pull all of the good stuff. Even when something happens to our protagonist that is like super frustrating, and she's trapped at one point, and it's also rooted in the dramatic plot point and not really.
Right, it's not a horror reason why she's trapped.
No, yeah, and so everything felt like it was just a really good drama. The food industry and everything, very cool backdrop for like a haunted house story.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it before. The only thing I can compare it to is the menu. But the menu...
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, the menu leads more into thriller than it does horror.
Okay.
But same type of tone, at least, where it's like, you have intense kitchen backdrop mixed with a like more intense drama thriller.
Yeah.
The menu, I think, pulls it off better.
Yeah.
It is just a better film overall, but House of Spoils is definitely in that vein, at least.
Cool. Yeah, I would say that this movie is a keeper. It left me unsatisfied in some areas, but overall, it's a really unique piece of art, I think, and the performances are good. There's some really cool shots that I think are worth seeing. Some very cool. There's like this garden that is kind of like a main character throughout the movie, and you have some really cool shots in the woods. And I think the house itself is really cool. I'm a
Yes.
big like haunted house fan. Any like haunted house movies I'm into. So, and I think it's largely because they're always these like really interesting properties to look at. You
Yes.
know, properties is maybe like not the best word, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's like a cool estate, or this is like an old house with
Right.
history that she's discovering.
Something we're too scared to buy ourselves or sleep
Right.
in ourselves, which she was crazy for sleeping in that place. But
Yeah, that was wild. too.
now I'm going to throw this at you. Do you think it would be better as a TV show? Do you think if it fleshed out some more ideas? And
I think I do.
it almost feels like it could have been a TV show.
And I think I think it could have been a positive for, because I'm not saying it shouldn't have had its spooky elements. I think it's very cool, and I want to commend the writer. I think it's 2 writers / directors. I could have that wrong. I apologize. Use IMDb to confirm, for adding those elements to this and not having it just be only a drama. Because I will say, I think you said this. I don't feel like I've seen anything like it. It felt
Yeah.
extremely unique, and that's why I would definitely tell people to check it out. Because I think the performances were great. I thought the writing was good. It was a unique story. The ending, again, it felt, just to put a different word to it, it felt a little bit contrived. Like it felt like this is what's going to happen because this is what's going to happen. Not all the pieces felt like they made sense together. To
Right,
me.
because it was like the horror story had to have a conclusion.
Yeah.
And the drama and the horror story, when they concluded, I felt like the drama part wasn't satisfying. The horror part was satisfying, even though I didn't like it.
Oh, interesting.
It
Okay.
felt like they focused on. They were like, the horror story is the conclusion,
Yeah.
and the drama has to end here too.
Right. Right.
But you feel the other way. You think it was the drama story that was stronger.
Yeah,
than
I
the-
see what you're saying, but I felt like the drama was wrapped up, and that all those plot points came to a head, and that was really satisfying. Whereas I thought that the reveal, like the turnaround of the spooky stuff that's happening throughout, was like, wait, what? Why
Yeah.
would that? Why would that happen?
When you pointed it out to me, I definitely get it a lot more because it didn't click with me initially.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think, I do definitely think it would work better as a show.
Yeah.
Because I think this could feel like the feeling I was left with from this movie, if I was left with an episode or left with after an episode, it wouldn't feel as like. I heard that one on the mic.
That was just like
That was a leaf that you guys just heard. I would feel like, okay, there's still room for more explanation. Whereas this was just over, and I was like, huh, I have questions. It was good, but I have questions. All that said, I say keeper.
I also say keeper.
Definitely worth a watch. It's on Prime. It might be a Prime exclusive, in fact.
I think so. I think you're right.
Purple Mohawk didn't stop there
Oh.
because she's an inquisitive mind, and she wants to know. This is a 2-part question.
Okay.
What is your go-to Halloween candy / what is one that you can't stand, which I think is an interesting question.
Okay. So, as a kid, I was insanely
As a
picky.
kid, was a skid. No one knew me by name. Trashed my own house party because nobody came.
Wow. I'm going to say that's Skrillex
Wow.
with a little splash of Kim Kardashian.
Holy bananas.
No, not even close.
Any idea?
Beastie Boys,
No, there's sort of a Beastie Boys energy to that song.
Limp Bizkit, Eminem.
No.
Who's lame? Will Smith.
Wow. Wow. They're a pop punk band.
No Doubt.
No.
Dang.
No Doubt is not a pop punk band.
This is why I need music as education.
Yeah, we're going to do more music.
Education. Anyways,
videos.
Who was it?
Sum 41.
Oh, I do know them
Fat
too.
Lip by Sum 41.
Oh, and I know that song too.
I know you do, but
I don't
guess
know
you
it
don't.
enough. Nope.
Go to Halloween candy.
Yeah, so as a kid, I was ridiculously.
As a kid, was a skid. Sorry, keep going. That's the last one. I won't do it again.
As a small child, I was insanely picky. Okay, I was waiting for Brett to break in.
I thought
I was
you were
very
right.
picky. Picky so to the point where I wouldn't even eat certain candies. I was
That is very picky.
yeah, I was a nightmare. So when I was a kid, the only candies I would like to get around Halloween, or when I went trick or treating specifically, was a Crunch Bar,
Crunch Bar.
or a Kit Kat.
Those are the most boring candies you could possibly have chosen.
I didn't like Snickers. I didn't like Milky Ways.
Yeah.
I didn't like Twix. I didn't like the ghosts that are summoning around us right now. The wind carrying on. Yeah, so it was either a
good.
Crunch or a Kit Kat. But the best thing I ever get anytime I went trick or treating was snacks. If I got like little cheese balls or a tiny bag
I was
of,
like, what
of
the hell candy
Chex
bar is
Mix,
snacks? Really? That's your favorite?
those are my highlights.
I don't
is
want
snacks.
any of that, dude. I want 8 pounds of chocolate in my bag.
I was terrible. I used to trade my Reese's away because I just didn't like them, and I was like, "Do you have snacks? Do you have this?" Like, that's how picky I was.
Did you trade those with me? I don't remember this.
No, well, again, our age difference.
Tim,
I'm just saying, I was probably like 5 or 6 if I would trade with you.
I would have still. That's just me stealing at that point.
Right,
Literally
exactly.
Stealing candy.
I don't think
from
I
a
was.
baby.
My mind was there yet.
Is there one that you don't like?
Nowadays, as a kid, like I said, all those I listed. Nowadays, yeah, definitely no like Almond Joy
I love Almond Joy.
or Mounds.
I love
anything with
Mounds.
coconut.
Dude, give me coconut all
York peppermint patty,
day. Delicious.
terrible. Yeah, those are some of the ones I don't like.
So my top 3 to get specifically as like fun size.
Yo, he's got top 3.
I do. In no particular order. Butterfinger, Three Musketeers, Milky Way. I love it.
Butterfinger, I love
Dude,
now.
so good. And there's something about eating the fun size ones. Now, for the thing I hate, hate is maybe a strong word, but in my opinion, listen, we had regular candy bars.
Right.
Right. And then I think, I'd have to check my history on this, but I feel like king size maybe came after regular candy bars.
Yeah, I think that was next.
And then we got fun size.
Right.
And those are like, you know, it's maybe like the size of your finger or
Your
something.
finger,
you know,
yeah.
I'm trying to, because there's a bunch of sizes now. I think the worst thing that ever happened to candy
Yes.
is the mini.
Oh, the mini.
Do you know how many mini Milky Ways I have to open to feel like I even ate anything?
It's the worst because you do like all of these places will give you one, or they're like take one, and it's just full of minis. I'm like,
Dude.
I might as well just have nothing.
I'm just gonna skip it. You can keep your stupid minis.
Stupid minis. You know, it's like it feels more like an obligation that they
dude.
put the candy out.
Plus,
they didn't even try.
if you snag a handful of them, you could fill a trash bag with the wrappers after you're done.
Right, it's so wasteful too.
Wasteful, dude.
Oh,
It's so much.
nothing's better than a king size though, or a large candy
King
bar.
size the best. And there's something about fun size for certain candy bars that I
Yep.
think is great. Fun size, like Kit Kats are pretty good, but a full size Kit Kat
Oh yeah, that's always better.
is like the, dude.
Yep.
I can't remember the last time I had a full
Now,
size Kit Kat.
here, I'll throw this out here. When you have Kit Kats, do you always break them apart or do you bite into
I
them?
tend to
Like,
break them apart.
You have to.
On occasion, what I
Don't
will
say it.
do,
Don't say it.
if I have a full size, is I'll break it in half,
Uh-huh.
and I will bite 2 at a time.
You heathen.
But then I do this with cheese sticks too. I bite the whole thing,
Stop.
but then I peel it. I do both.
God, I'm gonna be sick.
Dude, we're making look, our tablecloth is all unprofessional now.
What do you mean? These are all our friends.
No, this.
This is Harold.
The
wrinkles?
the wrinkles.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Yeah, so Brett took that as an opportunity to look behind
Nope,
us.
I'm just fixing
He's
the
like,
tablecloth.
Tim, just fix the tablecloth.
I'm just fixing the tablecloth.
Dude, I think if we would have gotten killed, it would have been now.
Don't say that. You literally say all the things that get people like you say it's nothing.
Dude, what could possibly
I'll
go
be
wrong?
right back. That is really funny. All right, I feel like we covered the candy
Yeah, I think so.
situation. Is that and then one more quick one.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's not quick. I don't know, but I feel like it's going to be quick. Purple Mohawk also asked, in regards to flavors,
Yes.
apple or pumpkin? To which I would say, I feel like I need to say pumpkin seasonally because I do get excited about. I love pumpkin flavored coffees.
He's a pumpkin spice girl,
I am.
everybody.
I totally am a pumpkin spice.
I love me some pumpkin skies.
I'm a pumpkin spice. I was gonna say pumpkin spice girly, and it was hard for me to get to. So yeah.
Yo, why was there no pumpkin spice in the Spice Girls?
Because we got ginger. Ginger should have been pumpkin spice.
Absolutely.
100%.
Man, what a missed opportunity.
Bro.
Okay, did pumpkin spice exist back then, though?
I think it was before.
There must have been
because
pumpkin
the
spice
fact
something.
that this joke is I've never.
When you said pumpkin spice girly, I was like, wait a minute.
Bro, pumpkin spice is so funny.
Why?
I want to make a sketch around that.
We're
now.
so ahead of the time because this is a commercial idea. This is
yeah.
like introducing the new They get all the Spice Girls back for
Right.
like a Super Bowl
Oh my
commercial.
gosh, dude.
And they're like, now pumpkin spice. Oh, we need to sell this idea immediately.
So tell me what you really, really want. Like, obviously, that's a Dunks commercial.
Yeah. Oh my god. I hate when we make the greatest joke ever,
Spice.
and it's gonna be
We're
stolen
gonna make
or
no money off of it.
right. It's
Just put the little Running Man logo in the bottom corner of your commercial. Whoever takes this,
just like just do subliminal messages
Yeah.
for like a second to keep up podcast.
whoever is already in the industry has
Yeah.
the money and production crew to do.
Who's stealing
this
this joke
idea.
from us?
Yeah, you're currently writing it down.
You're like, wow.
this
that's
is a
great.
great idea. Currently calling. What's her name? Jerry. I think it was Jerry.
What, ginger spices?
I want to say. Okay, do I say it out loud and potentially be embarrassed by how wrong I am?
Do it.
I want to say it's Jerry Hallowell.
Would you like me to look it up?
I will.
While you do that, I will continue to answer the question.
Please do.
I honestly am not a fan of like either flavor. I'm not a big apple guy.
Like, you can't think of anything that's flavored one of those things?
I'll go to the Big Apple,
Bro.
but I'm not a big apple guy. What'd you get?
I was right.
Oh, nice.
You're reading it. You remember what I said?
No.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of either of them. I like apple cider,
Yep.
and I like some pumpkin spice things. Not
Yep.
like coffee or anything, but like desserts.
Cakes.
Yeah, pumpkin spice cakes and things. But yeah, apples, like I like apples. But I don't like any apple desserts. I don't like apple pie. I don't like apple strudels. I don't
Crisp?
like apple crisp. Nope. No, I just
Blasphemy.
I know. So I think I'd have to give it to pumpkin by default because I think pumpkin, like I like pumpkin seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have many other pumpkin things though. It's like seeds. It's the pumpkin spice things. But how
Yeah.
much is that actually pumpkin, and not just
So
like
you only have
cinnamon
a
and
few.
stuff?
Which one has more for you, though? Pumpkin? Sounds like pumpkin.
Yeah, because I mean I like apple juice, apple cider. I don't like apple sauce. I could just eat an apple. So that's 3 for
That's a big
apples.
contender for me. I realized I don't eat pumpkins, but I do eat apples.
Right? Like, I would rather have, I guess, a basket full of apples than a basket full of
I
pumpkins.
don't know. Pumpkins are pretty cool. I love apple pie.
Yeah.
I had apple ice cream this year. That was delicious. And I love
Uh-huh.
cider. I love hard cider. I love regular cider. I love cider.
all ciders.
I love all ciders. So that's a tough one, but I also really like pumpkin beer, and I only
Yeah.
drink that around this time of year.
Does it taste like pumpkins though?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real good.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it to apples,
I'm giving it to pumpkin.
even though I don't really like apples.
Purple Mohawk. Thank you. We love you.
Yeah.
The leaves are really coming down.
Good.
Sorry I brought it up again, Tim. Don't get mad.
What's next, Brett?
Our next one comes from Half Seven Projects.
Uh-huh.
I'm stoked about this one.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this recommendation because I had seen the title. I had no idea what it was about, so I kind of put it off. We watched Late Night with the Devil.
Wait, you haven't like known nothing about this?
I didn't know anything about it.
I've been excited for a long time.
Okay,
to
that's
watch
cool.
this. Yeah.
Starring one of Joker's thugs
Yes.
from The Dark Knight. I feel terrible. I forget his name because
Plane coming by again.
yeah, that one seems
That one's
pretty
close.
That one is close. You guys can probably hear that one. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How often you get to hear an
It really
airplane.
shows we're outside.
Yeah, we really are. I'm not adding these effects afterwards. I already have a 30-minute like scare tactics episode to edit out of this earlier.
That'll be great for just a different video.
That was yeah, that is true.
Two podcasters get terrified.
It's just us quietly looking behind us for like 5 minutes, and then it's just like our like
logo.
intro plays. Yeah, whatever. So this is I watched this on Shudder. You can also see it. I think it's on Hulu right now.
I watch it on Shudder, so.
You watch it on Shudder. So let me read you the description on there. Let me bring this a little closer.
Oh, dude, our angle. Oh,
Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me push it back. It's because it's at an angle. It makes it hard to read.
I know. Well, I didn't know you'd be reading from that. We could have adjusted.
Not
properly.
a big deal. 1977, Johnny Carson rival Jack Delroy hosts a syndicated late night talk show, Night Owls. I really want a Night Owl shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I bet they had some cool merch for it.
Yeah, there's tons of them. I looked online. Night Owls that has been a trusted companion to insomniacs around the country. A year after the tragic death of Jack's wife, ratings have been plummeted.
What?
I don't know if I read that right. I got to get closer. I'm sorry. Oh, you can see the
I'm gonna be sick looking at it.
so much better now, dude. Ratings have plummeted. Yeah, I said Ben plummeted, and I was like, my grammar's bad. I need to read this better.
Ratings have been plummeted.
Desperate to turn his fortunes around, Jack plans a Halloween special like no other, unaware that he is about to unleash evil into the living rooms of America.
So,
This movie, I'm just going to say real quick,
just throw it out there, Brett.
one of the coolest horror movies I've seen in a very long time.
Dude, so
You loved it?
stylish. I loved it.
So stylish, for
now,
sure.
here's the thing. This,
me what.
This is such a revelation for me because this movie is based in the 70s. And as you guys know,
I almost made this a note. I know exactly what you're going to say. Keep
I
going.
highly dislike movies made in the 70s.
He does,
You know.
yeah.
There are a couple outliers. I won't deny Exorcist, Jaws. There's some good ones out there.
We have one to talk about later.
We
actually,
do,
from
we
the
do.
70s, yep.
So this movie, I was concerned because it is based in the 70s.
Yes.
But what I found, at the very least after viewing this one,
Yeah.
is that I can enjoy movies that are based in the 70s.
Set in the 70s.
Set in the 70s, but not made
Not
in
made
the
in
70s.
the 70s. I was watching it and I was like, I actually love the 70s as a backdrop. And then
Yeah.
I was like, wait, Tim doesn't not like movies set in the 70s, but made in the 70s. It's a totally
Yes.
different thing.
Because, this movie just did it so well. You legit feel like you're just watching a full episode of the show.
Yeah.
And you're watching like some behind the scenes stuff in between. Like it is so engrossing.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. It is that's a really good point to drive. Is it's so you're so immersed because it is just an episode of the show, and then they go to break, and you see a little bit of backstage stuff. They set it up. This movie had all the appeal of a found footage film without being one.
Yes.
That's how it felt to me because I love found footage. It's definitely my top three, in my top three favorite horror genres because I find it to be the most impactful in a lot of ways
Yeah.
when done right.
Part of your top 3 horror subgenres.
Yeah.
Ah,
One
interesting.
could say
One
that.
could say that.
One could say.
Fascinating.
Fascinating. Foreshadowing.
Yes.
Meant to say
Shadow the
foreshadowing.
Hedgehog
For-
at 8.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow music?
Shadow the Hedgehogging.
Do we get shadow music?
not doing it.
It's Halloween.
not
Shadow
doing it.
shadow music.
All right,
I
I'll
heard
do it.
something. You don't have to. The new Shadow game came out, so it could get us a lot of
There's a
viewers.
new Shadow game?
Well, it's Sonic Generations.
It could
with-
get us a lot of views. Listen
with
to this.
Shadow.
Tim's a big movie star now.
I just know how things work, Brett. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's true. What did I even say? I said foreshadowing?
Yeah.
I meant to say foreshadowing, but I got nervous. Anyways, it's a bit found footagey, even in the way that a lot of found footage movies will have some title cards early on in the movie to set up like what you're about to see is whatever. And this movie does a very similar thing, where you get all the backstory up front, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's like here's the episode you're about to see that shocked America, and then you're just watching it, and it is.
Awesome.
It's so awesome because an idea this unique, I realized while watching it, and I felt similar about House of Spoils, but in this one to a different degree, that when you're seeing a unique idea that you haven't really seen before, it heightens the anticipation so much just for like the watching of the film. Because I'm like, what is going to happen next? Like, I have not seen this done in this genre. And in this particular instance, I couldn't think of anything I've really seen that was similar to this. The closest thing I could think of
I hope it's the same one I'm thinking of.
is the scene in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Definitely not what I was thinking.
Not what
of.
you were thinking of. The only thing I can think of is I wrote it down.
When I
mean,
say it, you're going to be like, this is absolutely what a
oh,
similar
okay.
vein to this.
You obviously know the scene in Joker I'm talking
Yes,
about, right? I guess I won't say what happens if you haven't seen Joker, but there is a very intense climactic scene in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker where it takes place on a live late night show.
Yes.
And this movie felt like just a lengthening of that scene, which is also very intense, could also fall into the horror realm, albeit a different sort of grounded type than this one, because this movie also is a supernatural horror.
Yes.
And those elements together are just so intense. What did you
Oh,
have
this
in mind?
movie reminded me a lot of, and I'm gonna get the name wrong because it's like a weird name, but WNUF or
Oh, yeah.
WUNF or whatever it's
I
called.
think it's WNUF.
Yes.
Halloween special.
Halloween special.
Yeah.
And very similar vibes where you get like the commercial breaks. You don't get this in Late Night with the Devil, but same idea. Like you're just watching an episode of a news broadcast
Right.
where things are going more and more wrong as you watch the movie.
WHUF.
That might be it. WHNUF? No, I think it's got to be 4 letters. WHUF?
Correct
We'll
us in the comments.
Yeah.
I can't remember. We watched it for a special. I think our friend Edward recommended it a
Yes,
few years
yep.
back. But you're exactly right because that one is a news broadcast with actual commercials made for the movie, which I
Yes.
thought was very cool.
Great idea.
This one you get the "We'll be right back" or technical difficulties. Like you get a little like bumper card that
Yep.
shows up, and they all have this very cool like '70s logo font. Like it's so immersive. It literally feels like you turned your TV on, and the performances in it are great.
Yes, I think everyone did such a good job. Again, convincing me that I felt like I was like, I'm watching something from the 70s and
Yeah.
everything's just going wrong.
Right? Yeah, it really felt that way.
Yeah, but super strong contender for one of the better just horror movies in general that came out. I believe it was last year, right? I think it came out
You
last
might be
year.
right.
Or in the theaters this year, but I'm pretty sure it was last year.
I thought it had a 2024 release date on it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Double check.
Yeah, check.
Check.
Let
my
me see if I
phone's
missed anything here.
frozen.
A couple of the notes I had on it. We mentioned the setting. The setting's amazing. The effects were really unsettling. I think because
2023.
2023.
Yep.
Okay. They were great. You get a lot of effects. The finale is super intense in this movie.
Yes.
And it also had the effect on me where like it wasn't over when I thought it was over, which I thought was really impactful and hit pretty hard. And the effects during the finale were like pretty wild.
Yes.
It went definitely beyond my expectations. Like you see something coming, but I don't think you're fully prepared for it. It made me feel the way I felt during some of the stories in VHS.
Okay, yeah.
Where it was like, oh, I didn't know what kind of effects I should be in store for.
Right, you don't know like how high the budget is or anything.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this felt low budget,
It did.
but yeah, some of the effects looked really good.
It did.
I would say the weakest point, and it's only because I just wish there was like more of it told, is I feel like the story's a little weak.
It's funny. I actually disagree because one of my notes that I have is I was actually surprised at how layered the story was, considering the whole thing takes place in one episode of a show.
Yep.
And I guess I'm thinking,
I guess like because the ending is highly reliant on you paying attention to a bunch of like subtle hints throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But the ending, like I feel like many people might, and this is not like a judge on anybody's education. I feel like a lot of people it might fall on you, like it might be confusing when you get to the end because you're like, wait, why is this happening the way it's happening, or what does it mean? Because
yeah.
it's very much reliant on like short, quick things as
Yeah.
opposed to. But your point of it being multi-layered is good because there are multiple stories going on.
Yeah, and I guess that's more. I have written that the story is multi-layered, but I think it might be more that the writing was because there are multiple different themes throughout the movie, and I think that's what really struck me is they talk about pride in their pursuit of fame and fortune. They talk about skepticism. They talk about meddling where you really shouldn't. Like there's a lot of different themes throughout the movie, and I was really impressed with all the different things I thought about while watching it for a film that took place all in one location.
Yes.
That's always really impressive. And it really felt like behind the scenes at a late night show. Like we've seen enough in our time. We've seen enough behind the scenes stuff to like kind of clock what that looks like, and I thought they nailed all of that.
For sure.
So 100% a keeper,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're a horror fan. This is something like entirely unique and a really original concept.
Yes.
And oh yeah, just another reason I think it was so effective is because this is kind of like what I just said, but it plays out in a TV setting that we're all really familiar with. Like we're all familiar with the late night show concept.
I wonder how this movie appeals to people not in America. Like it makes me think like there must be late shows in other countries,
For sure.
right?
Yeah, I think that format's pretty much worldwide.
Yeah,
At
you think-
least the talk show format is
Yes.
for sure. So I assume the late night format is.
Yeah.
I could be wrong though.
Well, that was my point. That there was no point.
I think it was a great point. You know, so maybe the answer is it appeals
To everybody.
worldwide.
Worldwide.
It has worldwide appeal. Have 7 projects on Instagram.
Yes.
Thanks for the recommendation. You're the coolest.
It
You
was
always have good ones.
fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
I
so
actually
great.
watched it before it was recommended.
No way.
Yeah, because I was so stoked to watch it. So
Yeah. It wasn't really on my radar, except I was adding stuff. I was going through Shudder, and I was like, oh, there's a bunch of stuff I want to watch, and I was curious about that one, but I'm stoked it was on the list because it pushed it up top for me, and I'm so glad I got to watch that. Next listener.
yes.
What do we got? We got some questions on this one.
Okay. I love questions.
Andy Altogether.
Yes. Andy the Mandy.
There it
I was
is.
like, what?
I was waiting for it. It's been a while since you have the opportunity to say Andy the Mandy.
Andy the Mandy.
So Andy asked about ranking subgenres of horror. We thought that would be, I think we're going to do like a full video on that at some point.
That's a really good idea.
Because we started talking about, he listed a bunch here. He listed demonic, paranormal, monster, slasher, zombie, gore, witchcraft, vampire, psychological, comedic, found footage, possession. And then I think we started talking about even other ones.
that's the thing. I feel like there's hundreds of them.
I'd love to do, maybe we do a tier list or
Yeah.
something like that. Or it's got to be a ranking. Because what's going to be low on the, maybe there's some though. This is why it would be a good video.
Right, because we got to discuss the facts.
Yeah. But I think to modify it and get it on the special,
Yes.
we could at least do our personal top
Top 3. Yep, I agree.
Foreshadowication or whatever. What did I say? Foreshadow. Can you pull that corner that way, dude?
I don't know why it keeps doing this.
Is it your water bottle?
I'm not doing anything.
Lift this. I'm not doing anything.
I'm not doing anything.
Is there someone under the table just
that's
pulling
moving
this?
it slowly the whole
terrifying.
episode?
I already told you guys one of mine.
Yes.
Now, do you have your 3 in ranked order?
Yes.
What do you got?
And I'm not even sure if
Are you even sure, dude?
I'm not even like, because when I'm gonna say them, I'm gonna be like, maybe this isn't the order, and some of them might not even be like subgenres. But number 1, or are we doing 3 to 1?
Whatever you want to do. I don't even know if mine are in ranked order. I haven't
Okay.
really thought about it.
Well, for now it's number 1. It might change.
The first one.
Anthology,
Oh.
which is it could be we could discuss that it might not be a subgenre
So
of horror.
it's a little bit of a hack, but one of mine is too. So we'll talk about that.
yeah, all of mine might be, honestly, but
So I get it because, and here's why I think that is a genre, a subgenre, is because the horror anthology is a thing. There are many of them.
Yes.
And there have been times when I'm specifically in the mood for a horror anthology. And I feel like that makes it a subgenre.
yeah, because I think horror works really well when it's short. I think there's a lot of
Yeah,
short
true.
horror stories that don't need to be pushed to 2 hours or an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That work very well in an hour or even less.
Right.
So like an anthology movie, you could have 3 short stories and each be like 40 minutes, and that's great.
Yeah.
Or even less than that. Or Tales from the Crypt, you have every episode is a different horror story. Goosebumps, like
100%.
it is such a good way to experience horror
Yeah.
because you're getting something new every time. So if you don't like the first one, we'll come back next week and see if you like this one. Like there's just so much to be gotten from it.
I think it's because there are so many subgenres in the genre that the anthology works for it, because you could go from, a werewolf short to a body horror short
Yep.
to, a comedic short, and they're all still within the same, under the same umbrella.
Yes.
Lots of planes.
We always get so many planes. We are close to an airport, but
We are.
not that close though.
These
It's pretty far away.
Close enough. Close enough for those planes to be that low. All right, I'll give you anthology.
Okay,
I
thank you.
give you that.
Okay.
Do you want to go back and forth? You want to?
Yeah, let's go back and forth. Yeah.
All right, so mine that is questionable.
Yes.
Oh wait, you already got one of mine.
Right. Say it again though.
Found footage.
Found footage.
Easily. So the Blair Witch
Wow.
The Blair Witch Project is one of my favorite theater experiences of all time. I really love, I haven't seen all of them at this point because I think there's like 82 of them now,
Yeah.
but I loved the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies, and 1 and 2 were also really great watch experiences for me. They're always really effective. As of late, what's it called? Hell House.
Yes.
The Hell House quadrilogy now.
Oh, there's 4 of them.
There's
Jeez.
4 of them, yeah. Huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. There's so many other ones.
Host, technically.
Host was great.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just, and again, that's why Late Night with the Devil was so effective for me, because it was that type of formula. Anything that's like, this really happened, and you're just watching this go on when it's done right. I have seen a couple suffer from like poor acting because,
Or the camera, they don't know how to make it look good because they're
camera.
like moving too much.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it puts you right into the horror.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. It's
No.
like it gives you the closest scares. It's really good.
one I watched recently that I had never seen, As Above, So Below.
Oh, yeah?
Dude,
I forgot that was found footage.
Loved that movie.
It was really good.
I watched it like 2 weeks ago. I was like, where is this man? I should have watched this so long ago. That movie, I could talk about that. It was
Yeah,
such
next
a great
podcast.
movie. Yeah, for real. But yeah, found footage is a huge one for me. Thanks, Tim. Back to you.
Back to me. You brought it back to me. My number 2,
Yep.
again, maybe not in any order, but maybe in the correct order.
Maybe, who knows?
Specifically, Japanese horror.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Also an arguable one, but I see where you're coming from.
My last one is not arguable.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one is because just Japanese film is just different in general, but horror movies, like what they see as scary is so different from what we see as
Very
scary.
different, yeah, it's
both
true.
from the monsters to the wacky things that happen. There's a couple of them. There's one called House that is just so.
I still haven't watched House.
It's like people love it, and it's so weird and so crazy, but
Yeah.
it's like scary. The Grudge, Reincarnation, Ring.
Ring.
Yeah, like all those Japanese horror. And then of course there's some that I look at and I'm like, I would love to watch this, but I'm legit too scared to watch it by myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the concepts are just crazy.
Yeah, it is weird how Eastern storytelling is just different. I've said that countless times on the podcast, but it really is. And when it comes to horror, I think it's just we still don't know what to expect the way like we see a movie over here.
Yeah.
And it's like, a handful of things could happen. And when it's different, that's what really catches us off guard. It makes us feel uncomfortable. And that just happens so much more often in foreign films where we're like, they could do anything.
Anything at all.
They write differently than us. Like,
They can scare me again.
yeah.
See,
it's
it
kinda
happened
wild.
again. We didn't even do anything.
No, there's a lot of leaves that time.
Maybe it's the leaves doing it. When they land, they cause it to all move.
Oh, the wrinkles you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't care about all the leaves. I'll be leaf boy.
So Japanese horrors, that's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one. So you have anthology Japanese. I have found footage, and this is the one that's a little bit questionable for me. Or not questionable. I feel like it's a hack because it's definitely a subgenre, but monster movies. Here's the reason it feels like kind of a hack.
Yeah.
And maybe it is. Maybe you can't
Because it could
argue
be anything.
It could pretty much be anything. And I do think werewolf movies are kind of their own thing. I do think, zombie movies are their own thing.
Yeah, I
Vampire
guess-
movies are their own thing. But I think of something like The Host. I think of something.
So more like kaiju?
See, I don't really consider those horror movies.
No, not.
But I do love monster movies. I
Yes.
do love kaiju
and I agree.
films.
Like if someone says like check out this monster movie, I would not expect a vampire, a werewolf. Like I would expect like a creature that has different properties from the usual things.
think of
And I guess the big thing is humanoid. I think a lot of other like monsters, there's a big difference between vampires and werewolves because they're humanoid, where monsters are usually like mutant creatures or things like that.
Like, what do you think of like The Descent? Would you call that a monster movie?
Yeah, those things were, although they're humanoid, so
They kind of are, right?
but they are like
But anything that
monsters.
has some kind of like, because I do love vampire movies, but vampire movies are there's so many. Like, what kind of vampire movie is it? You know what I mean? Like, but one of my favorite aspects of horror is creatures
Yes.
and monsters and different designs, how you use them. I think the reason vampire movies are so fun is it's like what kind of lore are we dealing with? How are they going to look? Like, what are their personalities like? Things like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why it feels like a little bit of a hack. I don't know if I can get away with monster movie.
It's very general. It's very broad. So it's kind of hard to count it.
I know.
But I think you can make an argument because, like, you can't say, like, the host creature is the same as, or is like you couldn't encapsulate it because all monsters are so different and have different attributes.
You know, I might have to sub this for vampire if I'm going top 3 because there are so many.
Oh yeah, if you say vampire movies, I mean it's
One of my favorite
so good.
movies ever is Let the Right One In,
Mm-hmm.
and is because of what it does with vampire lore and just the movie's so good.
Yeah.
I love 30 Days a Night, Fright Night,
Blade,
dude. Blade
Twilight.
2, Twilight, dude. There's one on an airplane, the mother and son.
Oh, what was that one called? Yeah, we watched that for the podcast, I think.
It was good.
Red.
Sky.
It might, because it's not Red Eye, because that's a different one.
It's the one with Rachel McAdams.
Red. Yeah, it might be Red Sky or
Sky. blood
Red Blood Sky.
plane. Flight of the blood stuff.
Vampires in the Sky.
That movie was intense, dude. From
Yeah.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah, Vampire's good because you just get so many good movies with it.
All right,
It's a smart choice.
I'm going vampire. I love werewolves. That's my monster of choice.
Werewolf if I can.
Werewolf if I can. That's a deep cut. That's probably from a special, actually.
Probably.
Is it? I don't remember. But I feel
But,
like I've seen more vampire movies, so
Yes.
I feel justified in saying vampire. So found footage, vampire. Tim, back to you.
Okay, this one I think is very interchangeable with many others because I was thinking like, what do I really love to see in horror movies? And I haven't seen a lot of these.
Go on.
But it's something I always love to see. And I just saw a movie recently that made me be like, yeah, I love these type of movies. And that's body horror movies.
Okay, yeah.
Or like transformation movies.
Yeah.
I just recently watched The Substance, which we'll talk about in another podcast.
Oh,
But
the one from the 70s?
no.
Oh.
What? No, the one with Demi Moore.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Yeah.
I'm curious what that one is, but
Never mind. It's a movie called The Sentinel. I just remembered. Starts with an S and a the. Dude.
But yeah, I love because the transformations are always disgusting and crazy,
Yeah.
and I love the practical effects to it. And yeah, I just feel like when a normal person gets turned into a monster or some creature or whatever, it's always really interesting. And this isn't The Substance specifically, but there is body horror in it. But
I thought you were gonna say like this is. I don't mean to insult anybody who's.
if you transform, more power to you. But yeah, I just love to see transformations. And I mean, this isn't even horror, but in Dragon Ball Z, when any of the like whenever the monsters or like Frieza transforms, Cell has transformations. Like I just love to see like the new designs and their stronger versions.
That is cool.
So when it comes to horror, I just love to see American Werewolf in London has a crazy transformation sequence.
That
So
movie is so good.
yeah, so I need to see more because I do love body horror and I love
There's
like
a lot out there.
yeah, give me more guts and practical effects.
You do love guts and practical effects.
But like I said, I could very well next week be like, actually, I love killer clown movies.
there are a lot of those.
There are, and they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.
So, yeah, that is my third one.
My third and final that I'll offer up
Mhm.
is psychological.
Okay.
I love movies like Smile.
Yes. Dude, you hate Smile. What do you mean?
What are you talking
You
about?
hate. You said the monster at the end wasn't even scary.
Now people know there's a monster at the end.
The monster at the beginning is not even scary.
Dude, I love Smile. Smile's so good.
It's one of my favorites in recent years. Anyways.
I loved Longlegs. I'm trying to think of what else was really great. It Follows is sort of psychological, but not entirely.
No, it really messes with their head the whole time.
Yeah. It is. It has other elements, but
Alan Wake,
oh, dude,
that counts.
Alan Wake counts for everything.
The DLC just came out, and I can't wait.
We're doing
to
the
play
old leaf spin, dude. I can play Alan Wake. I've played every Remedy game now. Alan
Oh.
Wake 2 is next.
Oh,
I know.
That's very exciting.
Very exciting, dude. You're telling me. Finally.
Did you get it? Do you still have that
No,
Microsoft
I
cash
still
that you got from
yeah.
Christmas?
Tim got me.
No, Mom got you. Not. I just gave her the idea.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay, yeah. For Christmas, I got enough money because it was only. Is it still only digital, or did they drop a physical?
Actually, they just released a physical that has all the DLC, which is very sad because now that digital cash you can't use for it.
I could always buy the physical copy another time.
But you can't. Yeah, because you can't play it because you only have the Series S. which
What?
is the Series S doesn't have a disc drive.
Oh, right.
So you can play it. So you could buy it for like a PS5 or something, but
So I might as well. I don't have that either. So I might as well just download it. But you can't get. Can you download the DLC?
it's season pass. Like you'll have to buy it as well, like separately. But yeah, I
Anyways,
hope your Xbox can run it.
yeah,
Yeah,
the newer one. Why?
Yeah.
Why couldn't it?
I don't know.
Big fan of psychological horror. One of my favorite things about the genre is walking away thinking about something.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the, I think, one of the genres that is able to speak on a lot of topics that not every other genre takes seriously all the time,
Mm-hmm.
if I may.
If you may.
And in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun. And I like, it feels like a little bit of another hack because I was like, psychological includes a lot of things.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
that is definitely a type of movie that I
for
can
sure,
think of.
for sure.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I've always enjoyed anything that I'm like, you're not 100% sure what's going on, and part of the fear lies in your unknowing.
The fear.
And sometimes you get a reveal, and that's really satisfying,
Mhm.
and sometimes you don't, and then you have to talk about it with your friends, and that's what we're all doing here today,
That's what
folks.
we're doing.
Andy, thank you.
Thank you.
That's a great question, and legit, like we're gonna have to do like a whole video series on that. I think.
I just want to say my prediction is going to come true. We're going to be doing this till midnight.
Should we check and make sure we're still recording the video?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
All right,
Because we don't have the reflection.
That's right. Tim's having a quick wardrobe change.
It's cold.
It is a little chilly out here, and Tim is in shorts
I am in shorts.
and a long sleeve shirt. You were wearing a shirt under it, and then I thought you were going to put the long sleeve over it.
No, because dude, I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you.
Go ahead, dude. Tell me.
Wearing a shirt under a long sleeve is one of my like icks.
It gets all bunch of crunch.
Oh my god, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like
I have
that.
a hard enough time wearing long sleeves and like indoors because I always get sweaty.
Fix it.
Fix it, Felix.
Oh, yeah. Well, there we go. We did it.
Yeah, it's gonna get.
It'll get back.
I
Yeah,
don't know why it keeps doing it.
I
Maybe
don't
it's
know either.
weather related.
yeah, maybe. I think I said it, but in case I missed it, shout out to Andy for that recommendation, that question.
Angular, the mandular.
And here's a little transition.
Okay.
I mentioned vampire movies.
Oh.
Our next recommendation comes from Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike.
And Uncle Mike
Uncle
recommended
Mike.
2024's Salem's Lot,
Salem's Lot.
the remake I don't know if it's a remake. I never saw the original. It was a TV movie the same way, based off the novel by Stephen King, the same way It was a TV movie. So the
Yes.
original film is like a little over 3 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen that. It's been on my list for many, many years.
Yes.
But I just went straight to watching this one, which is a Max original, I believe. I think you
Yes.
can only get this on Max right
Which
now.
is weird because I feel like that would be a theater release.
I know. Yeah, it does. But I don't know. We're just not getting as many of those anymore.
That's the world we live in now.
This movie, so I don't have the context of the original. Tim does.
Yes.
It is so an author moves back to his hometown in Maine that he left when he was 9 years old, and he's doing some research on himself because his parents passed away right before he moved away to live with family at 9, and he's trying to get back to his roots, kind of thing. And all of a sudden, some strange things start going on in the town after an odd man moves in and opens a small shop downtown.
Freaking British.
So,
That's what he is, British. I'm not just cursing British people.
Tim's just randomly.
Freaking British.
By the way, Tim
I guess
hates Brits.
technically it still is because I said he's just like a freaking British.
He's like a British.
Yeah, he is all of British.
He is a British.
I like British people.
Oh, that's
okay,
right. Yeah,
love?
you're still technically just calling out
Right.
all British people.
If you replace it with any other thing, it
Yeah.
would be bad. So
I was going to give an example, but you
There-
probably don't need one.
yeah, we don't need any. I like British people. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not. Anyways, this movie,
Yeah.
it's whatever.
So here's what was weird for me, and I need your comparisons from the original.
Yes.
I couldn't tell if I didn't know what the tone was supposed to be or if the movie didn't know what the tone was supposed to be because I didn't mention the strange things that are going on are vampiric.
Yes.
And it's very clear that this is, I mean, there are very like Dracula reminiscent storylines. Like it's very obvious what's going on here. There's talk about a missing ship, and all of a sudden, this new guy in the town is having this big box of dirt delivered to his basement. Like this is
That's
how,
normal.
This is how Fright Night starts. Like
Yep.
this is what's going on. What is weird about it is the speed with which the town starts believing that it's vampires.
Yes.
Almost feels comedic to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Like almost like unrealistic.
yeah, it felt like Zombieland.
Okay.
Where it was like, Zombieland leans into like, hey, we're at this point where we all know the rules of the zombies
Yep.
and like we know how this works. The first theory that is really presented by someone in the town is it's vampires.
Yes.
And it's basically based on like a bite on the neck. And while we know enough in reality from vampire lore, in movies and books and stories,
Yes.
that like, yeah, okay, it's vampires. In a movie, it felt funny because it's like, wait, is he just gonna be like, okay, this is vampires?
Well, I will say that is an interesting thing because in most movies, people are just not convinced. Like
Right.
they like the concept of these things don't exist.
Right.
So that usually takes me out. Like, how do you not know what a zombie is?
Right.
How do you not know what a vampire is? So I like it in that regard.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, everyone like knows what a vampire is. They can pick it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I get you. It is kind of quick. Like most, if not all, movies that involve creatures and people had to like learn that they're living amongst them.
yeah.
There's always like people who don't believe.
Yeah.
There's the skeptics. And then there's always like the revelation of it. This one people believe pretty early on, which is
Yeah.
I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think I'm just so used to that arc of like, no, it can't be. And then a certain number of people have to
Someone
die.
else gets infected and they're like, oh, maybe.
Right, right. So I think it was just maybe my viewing for whatever reason. I was like, also the introduction of the English dude felt almost comedic because he's like, you're going to get this delivery and I need you to bring it to my, like he's just talking weird.
Yeah, it's like a Disney movie villain where he's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, because the difference between this one and the old one or the original, that movie being like 3.5 hours has way more room to breathe. Where this movie is an hour and like 30 something.
I think it's close to 2 actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, hour 50 something.
All right. Okay. So a little close. I feel like it crashes through a lot of points that the original movie sat on and built towards.
Yeah.
Granted, I am not a big fan of the original because I found it was way too long. They just took way too much time. It's got some really good scary moments,
Yeah.
which almost makes it a keeper because those scary moments are good.
The original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the vampires are like legit some of the scariest I've ever seen.
Really?
They're really creepy in that movie. And there's one scene that they remade in the new one with knocking at the window.
Yes.
And in the original is terrifying, and in this one is very good too.
Yeah, this one, I was going to say, this one has some remarkably scary sequences.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure we were going to get that when it first started. I was like, I don't know. Like, I was in, but I was trying to figure out the tone because it felt a little comedic, a little romantic at moments. And I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to feel here. And because the other thing is, like, there's some terrible things happening.
Yes.
Very early on. And I was like, ooh, this is like,
Yeah.
it does move quickly through those things. It ultimately felt to me, this felt like a fun monster movie. By the time it was done,
Okay.
that's how I felt. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this was kind of like a crazy romp, and it was kind of fun. But what feels weird about saying that is how terrible some of the things are that happen throughout. Because it is, it's violent. No one is safe.
Nope.
I will say there's one thing that is kind of cool. You know what? This felt like the type of movie that's like, I bet the book is great.
Yes.
This feels like we're smashing through a lot of plot points. But one thing that it is cool, you end up with a really like wild group of survivors.
Yes.
Like a really eclectic group.
And again, like you said, you don't know if anybody's safe. Like people you would assume would make it to the end might not make it.
Right.
And people or you'd think, there's just a lot of moments where you're like, oh, that's interesting that they're like sticking with this.
Right.
They made that decision.
Yeah.
The original, I think, still hits upon that because it is still what?
Lift up a little bit.
Oh, maybe it's because I'm leaning on this.
I don't know.
That could be that.
And you're on a hill.
Yes, we are on a hill.
We're slowly descending a hill during this episode.
So we're like, yeah. So the original definitely is similar to that, where there are no safe characters. I don't think you get as much of a weird group by the end, but the ending is way different.
in the original.
Completely different location.
Interesting.
There's a completely different like reason for the vampires. Like you get a whole lore dump as to like where they come from and stuff.
You get none of that. In this.
None of that in this. So it is definitely a more like accessible, condensed version with some differences, I think, to make it more modern. But yeah, it's there's not like even a movie theater or a drive-in in the original.
Oh, and that's such a big thing.
It's
in
such
this
a huge, So it is definitely worth watching the original because it's different.
Yeah.
But again, it's super long, and I didn't love it by the end because there's so much like boring
Drags
filler.
over.
Yeah, where I feel like if it was split up into 3 episodes that you would watch over 3 weeks, like how the TV series might have been. I don't know how they did it because I know with
don't know either.
they did it in 2 parts.
Yeah.
as it is now. So maybe it was the whole thing at the time. I don't know how they did it, but I think that's a much better way to watch it. Is not all at once.
Yeah.
The original. And so yeah, this one. I said whatever earlier. It is good. Like there are parts I like. I just don't know if the Salem's Lot story is something I really like. I guess even though there's so many cool parts.
That's what I was curious about because because the vampire, even on the cover, it just looks like Nosferatu.
Yes.
I never really understood what the story was about, and this story is more about the town.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest difference. Is it's not just about like fighting one, like in Fright Night, it's all about stopping this like one vampire. This is about a spread, and it's like and taking over a town, and I think that does give it sort of its own character. I don't think it's a great movie. I would say it's a keeper because it is ultimately like I think it's worth it for some of the visuals, and if you're a vampire fan, I'd say it's one worth watching too.
Yeah, it's definitely on the darker side, like Brett said. So just be aware if you're not used to. How do I word it without spoiling things?
Just no one's safe.
Yeah, just that's a good way to do it. Is no one is safe.
If the first 20 minutes of any given It movie are difficult for you,
yes,
I would be cautious going into.
I guess
this
Stephen
one.
King just likes doing that, huh?
Dude. I've seen I've seen too much of that in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
With movies we've seen.
Right?
Yeah, I think I'm ready for Christmas soon. But yeah, it's funny because I think the tone is the biggest thing for me because I keep wanting to say it's like a fun movie, but I think that's like the last half hour, and even that is pretty dreadful because you don't get a ton of survivors at the end. I would say it's worth a watch. It is, you get some good vampire action, some good like scares and cool lighting and shots. And that window scene.
It's great.
That is haunting.
Yeah.
It is really, really good.
That's good in both of them. So.
Yeah. So that's Keeper for me. You're still saying Keeper?
Yeah, it's
He's on the fence.
Yeah, it's a low keeper. But again,
keeper.
I think that's more of my bias. But it has a lot of cool moments that are good enough to make it a keeper.
Yeah. Uncle Mike, I want to know what you think because you recommended it.
Yeah.
I want to know how you feel
liked
about it
or hated it.
Yeah. And what do you think of the first one? Like the OG. Next one comes from our friend Nick D.
Oh.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, pal?
I'm excited for this one.
Friend Nick.
This is another one that is going to be. I think we're going to have to do a full video because this is just too
It's
big.
a great concept. Great idea.
It's so good. Horror movie or horror game tier list was the request. Again, something that I'm excited to do and go deeper on, but I thought we could at least do our top 3. Now, I had a hard time. I'm realizing he said tier list, and we talked about like doing our top 3. I had a hard time not thinking of like recommendations. Like
that's the angle I went because my top 3 is probably something you guys have heard us say 100 times.
Yeah.
It'll probably be something that's a little more like I don't think I have a top 3 that's more like movies that people don't universally agree are also scary.
Sure.
Or do, I don't know. But like, it'd be Hereditary, it'd be The Grudge. Like, what I like. So I also went the recommendation of like, these movies are a little like wackier or something you may not have heard of before.
Did you do games as well?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Did the same for games.
Mine's kind of a mix, so you are going to hear some things that I've said a million times, but I went with favorites that I would also say like, you want to get into some horror games,
Yeah.
play these 3, and you'll know what you like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you want to do first, movies or games?
Let's do movies.
Okay, you go first.
Me? Okay,
Yep.
hold on. Let me pull up my list. Okay. My first one is for those of you who may not love horror and instead want something a little more, it's still scary, but it's more fun.
Okay.
This is Happy Death Day.
Still haven't seen it. Okay.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I bit I bit my lips super hard while saying that.
I still haven't seen it, guys. Someday I'll watch the Happy Death Day, dude.
Still haven't seen it. I bit my lip so hard with.
You literally gave yourself a list.
I still haven't seen it.
I still haven't seen it, guys.
All right. Still.
That's my favorite part of this whole
all right.
thing.
Keep going. Whatever.
Happy Death Day. It is Groundhog Day, but with a serial killer twist.
Yeah.
In which this poor girl at college, gets murdered. Spoiler alert. And when she gets murdered, she wakes up the next day, and it's the same day repeated.
Yikes.
And it's just fun. It's fun. You have kind of like the Scream tropes as
that.
far as like just a bunch of kids like trying to figure out how to beat the murderer. And is it some of the kids like trying to figure out the mystery? And so many times you think she's right and guessing who it is because she has to still break the curse of waking up every day. And she's like, oh, you're the killer. And she like kills them. And it's like, oh, nope, it's still the same day.
happened.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that was like part of the story.
Yeah, because she like is a victim for a while, and she's like, "Screw this! I'm gonna start fighting back." So
Yeah.
it, like you kind of get like Last Girl vibes, but the whole movie's
sounds
like
good.
that. It's wicked fun. It's super super fun, and it involves a little bit of time travel, and
Tim loves time
which
travel.
I love.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's still got some good scares. It's got some
great.
good violence. It's a fun horror movie that is I need to watch again. It's been a while.
I believe that is streaming. I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently.
I should have looked up where it was.
You should have. Tim has failed you guys. I just want you to remember that.
I always do that.
First one I'm going to throw out there.
Yes.
Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
It is the. Oh, dude, you scared me. Yeah. It is under Tim's Sonic hoodie.
I'm cold,
You guys might remember from earlier in the episode.
Go rewind and watch.
To me, the dawn of Sam Raimi's brilliance. Yes, The Evil Dead is a great movie on its own, but you can watch Evil Dead 2 without watching the first one.
Yeah, because it's like almost like a retcon, but
Kind
like
of, yeah.
a refresh.
If I remember correctly, he didn't have the rights to the beginning of the original movie, so he had to like redo whatever. You can watch 2 by itself, and it's funny.
It's so wacky.
It's so wacky, and it's so like the practical effects are top tier, and it's just a wild ride. And I feel like it's crazy to me that it exists.
Yes.
And every time I watch it, and there's a scene where he's dancing with a lamp, and every time that happens, I just lose it. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And
For a horror
I love it.
movie.
Yeah. And it's just excellent. Evil Dead 2, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
One of my recommendations.
It's
Yeah,
a great one.
Absolutely. What else you got?
So jumping into my love of anthology.
Yes.
This is a movie I caught years ago and have made many people watch it with me because of how insane it is. This is called The ABCs of Death.
Oh, yeah.
And it is
wow.
a collection of 26 short films,
Yeah.
all from different directors, all
never
from
saw
around the
this.
world. And they each got given a letter, and then they would craft a movie based on that letter. And then at the end of the movie, they would say what the letter was, or the word they picked was.
Oh.
So, like, the first movie's A, and then it's like, apple, and it's about a killer apple. Like, so what's fantastic about this is having 26 different directors. I believe they were all horror directors, or they've done horror, because everything is mostly horror. There's some that are a little more just like weird or macabre or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you will never guess any of these short films that you see. They are so different. You get claymation, you get animation, you get the insane things. I also will say this movie is definitely a hard R for violence, for lots of sexual things, because everyone was just free to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, it's one of those where you get a bunch of buddies around,
Tim,
you get
stop
some
pulling
snacks.
on the tablecloth.
I'm never going to stop, Brett. You know what? It's sciatica. I have to lean funny. You're lucky you're able to get me on the podcast.
Yeah, it was hard to get Tim here tonight, guys. I hope you like this episode.
Yeah, I hope you do. But yeah, ABCs of Death is just so satisfying to watch because it's crazy, it's insane, it's scary. But again, just be aware there's a lot in there that you might be like, why did Tim recommend this? Because it's bad.
I'm now nervous to ever watch.
Yeah, that one you'd probably want to watch on like your laptop or something. Especially Z. I want you to know they end that movie on something that I still can't forget to this day.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it.
I don't know, but I recommend it because it is really fun.
All right, cool.
But insane. It's maybe it's even rated X. Who knows? Go ahead, Brett.
I did a lot of foreshadowing tonight and didn't mean to, but I have to put the Blair Witch Project on here.
Of course.
Because, again, one of my best theater experiences of all time, foundation of my love for found footage, horror, and I just, even watching it recently, I was like, it's a victory for like a small time filmmaker at the time too. Like just for that cast and crew to have done what they did with that movie to me is like a really important moment in film in general. And the tension and terror that they created without really showing anything throughout most of the movie is still like fascinating to me and just really smart. And that has to be, it's just got to stay on my list. It's so good.
It's a Brett classic at this point.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
So my final one
Yeah, what do you got?
is a film called Reincarnation. And I've talked about this at least like 5 times on the podcast, but this is just one I really enjoy and still freaks me out to this day.
I'm unfamiliar.
So there was a film festival 2008 or 9 or something, and it was the 8 Films to Die For. We used to rent them and watch them as they came out. So this is one of the movies that came out, and this is kind of like right before streaming. So when you find these movies, especially like not fan films, like indie films and stuff, they weren't as prevalent at the time. So this is like 8 horror films that you could watch. So Reincarnation is from the original director of the first Grudge movie. And this is, I don't know if he wrote it. I need to look more into the history of it because I only just have memories of me watching it and freaking out because it's just that terrifying. So if you like The Grudge, this is kind of more of the same, where it's just more Japanese horror. It's about a group of actors and just like a film crew who are trying to create this movie on this cursed set where people like keep dying and mysterious things keep happening. And so it kind of evolves from there. But it's so creepy. The ending is still to this day something that sticks with me.
It's crazy to me that you gave 3 recommendations of things I've never actually watched.
Well, now you can watch them all.
I can watch them.
Maybe skip ABC's of Death. You should watch them, but it's just...
I should skip it?
There's 2 of them even. ABC's of Death 2.
Second one worth it?
Yeah, but the first one I think is more memorable.
Well, you have me curious and nervous, Tim.
Yeah. There's one story where there's a bunch of Japanese girls farting. I wish I was joking.
I somehow knew you weren't.
But then you get some really good ones. Anyways.
Oh, that's not one of the good ones?
It's fun. It's something, I think it's literally F for fart. I think that's the one. I could be wrong. It might be something else, but.
Did you direct that one?
I should have. No, that one's a weird one. I hope I didn't direct it. Anyways, Reincarnation, check it out. It's very good.
Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I got one more,
Yeah.
I wanted to go with something a little more modern.
Midnight, baby. I felt it in my bones.
Wow, you're right. I can't believe we're out here at midnight. That's
the
crazy.
witching hour.
No, isn't that like 3? About 3 o'clock.
Is the haunting hour midnight?
I don't know.
I thought something was midnight.
It's the hour I should be.
I know you still got to drive home.
I know.
I want you guys to know that Brett was here at like 8, or he was here at 7:30. We were getting set up at 8. By 8, we were ready, and Brett was like, "Hold on a second," and he called his wife and realized that he forgot a very important part of our filming process.
Yeah, my recording interface. Though I grabbed all the cables for it.
Yes,
I decided not to pack it up, and I don't live super close.
Nope.
But I was like, "This is the special.
We will do anything for it.
We cut no corners."
Nope. So everything got pushed an hour. So we would not have been here at midnight.
No. I don't think so.
Maybe. I don't know.
Unless we're here for another hour. Yeah. So the last one, I wanted to go a little more modern. I hit you with one from the 80s, got you with one from the 90s.
Nice.
More recently, because I've watched this one, I think 2 or 3 times now, the movie Haunt.
Haunt's good.
I love it. It's got a couple of unexpected twists and turns throughout. I think it's shot great. There are some really, really tense moments throughout it. And I mentioned earlier I love haunted house movies. I also love like haunt movies, like anything that takes place in a, like a haunted, like a haunt, I guess.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a different word to say, but, like a structured attraction.
Yes.
Hellfest is a great one. The Houses October Built, I was a big fan of. Hell House is another one. But Haunt, I don't know. There's something about it that it has that, you mentioned it earlier for I forget which one, but like a group of teens kind of out on the night trying to figure something out.
Happy Death Day.
That's what it was, yeah. And very different vibe because this is an overall dark, really tense atmosphere, and it's just really, I don't know, it's great. It's really well done, and it's one that I've seen in the past few years that I rewatch, and I haven't seen a ton of those. I have a few honorable mentions.
Yes, I didn't do any.
I'm gonna throw out Scream because it is one that it's a formula that works. It's the whodunit. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's iconic.
It really is. Pumpkinhead, one of my favorite monsters of all time.
Not iconic.
I disagree. And The Devil's Candy, which is another one that I've watched multiple times.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this one.
So I watched it on a whim, I think on Netflix, and it is now on Shudder. If you can find it, it's less than 90 minutes long.
I love that.
It is a really, really well done story about a family moving into a house that may or may not be possessed with some kind of energy.
Am I going to be scared?
There are...
Play number 4.
It's not terrifying. It's ominous. And there are some really nefarious things that happen in the movie. But overall, it is oddly rich with heart. And it is it's also set with a backdrop of metal music and art and but also family. I mean, just a lot of things that I know. Anyone who knows me, if you watch this movie, you'll be like, I know why Brett connected with this. But it is a great, great movie.
So it's like scary though, like horror.
It is a
scary?
horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's on Shudder, dude.
Yeah, it's true.
That means it's scary.
That means it's scary.
Nick, thank you for the question.
Great one.
Suggestion.
Yeah.
A really good one.
Yeah.
I'm nervous it's not still recording, but it probably is.
Do you want me to check? Also, why am I the one checking?
Because you're the film guy.
Sciatica boy.
Dude.
Did we want to do video games or?
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Nick, I'll say thanks again in a minute. I want to do, you can go first.
Sure.
I want to do all my games together because there's a reason I picked the ones I picked.
Okay.
So
they all go together.
So, I mean, in a way.
So same idea. These are cool recommendations. Like these are horror games that really hit the spot, and I think maybe not as many people are playing. One of them is one of my top 5 favorites.
I'll check because you keep going.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just gonna check the video.
He's just gonna check, make sure it's good because we usually have some way to tell how the films go. We should have used my little camera thing.
Keep telling your
Sorry, my recommendation. My first one is Martha is Dead, and good gracious. This game is just one of the coolest horror games I've ever played. Is it still recording? Yeah. Okay. you were looking at it. I was like, am I going to stop? So this is set on the backdrop of 1940s Italy, in which you play as Martha's sister, and your family is dealing with the death of Martha. It's the name of the game, not a spoiler. Or it is. I don't know. It's whatever. But what's so good about this horror game is not only the story really cool and crazy and something I've never heard before, but this one puts you again in 1940s Italy, and you are just
setting.
Yeah, it's super unique, at least as far as gaming goes. And it's a very open area in which there are scary stories hidden within the game that you get to experience as side missions.
That's cool.
So there is the main objective, again, the main story, but you're allowed to explore this, and you get a little bike that you can ride around in, and there's other scary stories that are equally as scary as the main story that could have been their own game with how in-depth they are with the notes and how you do. It's unlike any horror thing I've played before because all those stories are scary, and again the main story is just out of this world. I loved it. I really did. And it's one of my top 5 favorite horror games ever.
Wow.
It is that good. Fair warning, if you play the PS4 or PS5 version, they censored a couple parts in the game because I guess it was too violent. But it still works in the Xbox and PC version. So
it's wild these days when something like that happens.
Yeah.
Because...
And it's only censored in the sense that you can't control what's going on in that moment.
Oh, but you still see it.
You do still see it. I think one scene was removed in particular, but
okay, yeah.
But everything else, so it's still, that's the version I played, was the PlayStation version, but I mean whatever's missing is just whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Martha is Dead is so good.
Still on my list.
You have it, don't you? You own
I think I do own it.
but you
I
own
don't
it for
think-
PS5.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't own a PS5.
I will get you a PS4 version in trade.
Oh,
Because I actually don't own it physically.
curious.
I rented it from Gamefly like a loser,
What a doof.
thinking it'd just be like a quick horror game.
But no,
But no.
one of Tim's top 5 ever.
I think you can get it physically. It was limited run originally, but it might be available now.
Well, I have a copy.
Whatever. Go ahead.
You got 2 more.
Oh, I'm doing them all.
Do them all.
Okay. Next up is Little Misfortune. Which
Never
is,
played it.
It's a story of Little Misfortune, a girl who is just the most cheery, happy-go-lucky, just doesn't worry about the dark and terrible
Doesn't
world.
even give a heck, dude.
Gives no hecka.
Yeah.
No hecka at all. And it's cute, it's adorable, but it's horrifically dark and terrifying because everything around her is just so messed up. A little bit like Alice vibes.
Yeah.
Or what's that one you played? Sally Face?
Oh, Sally Face.
Similar vibes, much similar to Sally Face, where it is a side scroller and you're just kind of continuing through the map, solving puzzles and things like that.
Dude, I forgot about Sally Face.
It might enter your list now. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it should.
So yes, very much. It is just terrifying, and the little girl makes it so charming because it's almost like Dora. She's like just that level of cute and like goofy, and but yeah, again, the whole world around her is so dark, and the story and the things she does where she doesn't know it's like super bad, and she's just like, oh, I'm innocent, cute little girl. It's just super fun. It's a crazy take on what could be a very dark story with some lightheartedness because of her.
That's intriguing.
Mm-hmm. And that one's, I think, on every console. I think you can play it everything but the Switch. I don't know if it's on the Switch.
Fine, I'll play it on something else.
The final game I have to bring to you, the people, is a game called Faith. Sometimes it's called Faith Unholy Trinity. And so this is a game that is, and I forget the system that inspired it, but
I've seen that somewhere.
yeah, it is. It's styled with the old. I wish I remember the system name, but it's an old game system essentially where they use like a rainbow array of colors to make objects move and things happen.
Okay.
But it's more so like almost like Microsoft Paint in a way, where you are just exploring these environments. It's completely black, and then the colors are like the characters that are drawn and things like that. And upon a surface level, you might think this is like a very low budget, like callback to 70s Atari, like with that level of graphics.
Yeah.
But what is hidden within this game is, it's technically 3 games, is such a scary, crazy, wild story with some action. There's some really scary jump scares that, again, given the graphics, you wouldn't think would make you terrified.
Sure, yeah.
But they add the right music. They animate it in a way that, of course, wouldn't run on Atari, but would definitely be like an Atari.
Oh, okay.
Like Atari 2600 type deal where it's very simple graphics. But yes, another super scary game that is way scarier than you would think that should totally be played. And that just came out on the Switch recently.
Oh, that's new.
But
Okay.
I think it's on. Well, it's been out for a long time, but just came to Switch recently.
Is it new or not, Tim?
No, it's old. I think it's like
When did it come to
2014,
Switch?
Like this year, like a couple months ago.
Nice.
But yes, Faith is so good.
Faith.
Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, that was 3 games.
Trying to remember the subtitle, but I couldn't remember.
Unholy Trinity.
All right, I did a similar thing that I did with movies where I
Mm-hmm.
kind of gave like a span of decades.
Okay.
I had to put Resident Evil, the OG, number 1. I
Yep.
feel like anybody who wants to play any spooky games, you need to start with Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, we are still seeing so many things derivative of that game. And it's a series that's still innovating and changing things and growing things in the horror gaming landscape.
Yes.
Number 2, Alan Wake.
Mm-hmm.
I love that game so much. It is even though I really loved Max Payne,
Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake is really where I fell in love with Remedy and the way that they make games. And it's so immersive, and I love the way the story operates, and just everything about it is so great. I haven't even played 2 yet. I can't wait. But I've played the first one 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent game. A third one, I was trying to think of something more recent that really did something different.
Mm-hmm.
And A Plague Tale: Innocence, the first Plague Tale game, was such a good experience for me because it was scary. It was dark.
Mm-hmm.
It was it did have an intensity to it, but it was unlike anything I'd ever played because you really don't have a lot of defenses.
Nope.
There's not much you can do other than it's just a lot of hiding.
And the rats.
And the rats are really unlike any other like creature or antagonistic force in another horror game. I'm sure there are some similar, but it just felt like such a unique way to add an enemy because you're also, evading human enemies throughout it. And I think those are the best games when there's kind of a mixture of like a supernatural entity that you're running away from, and which is a common enemy between you and maybe some human wow.
Double enemies.
I really want to say enemies. So that was the trinity for me was
Yes.
Resident Evil, to take you back to the original, Alan Wake, which at this point is older than I want to admit,
Yes.
but was such a big game for me. And A Plague Tale, I think, did so many things so well as not even a AAA title. I guess AA you would call it.
Yeah.
And I haven't even played Requiem yet, but I'm sure it's excellent. I
Yes.
did have a couple honorable mentions again because I'm cheating and
Freaking overachiever over
I
here.
want to do a whole tier list like right now. But I wanted to shout out The Last of Us 2. I know it's a
You're
controversial
probably
game.
the only person. No,
Dude,
I'm kidding.
that
A lot of
game-
people liked it. I
Yeah,
think.
it's an unbelievable game. People who are spicy about it are usually spicy for the wrong reasons.
Right.
In my humble opinion, that game is incredible. The Evil Within was just a great gameplay experience and was scarier than a lot of things that had come out prior.
Yes.
It felt like, oh, shoot, another scary game. And for the same reason, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, which I just finished, which I think, in my opinion, is one of the scariest games ever made.
It's so good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Story's amazing, and it's essentially like a legit grindhouse horror.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very scary and intense, and I loved it. So those are mine.
Dude, great list.
And officially, thank you, Nick, for your suggestions.
Thanks, buddy.
And requests. I like this question from Ashley's Moving Tavern.
Yes.
A spooky movie that wasn't predictable. For me, the first one that came to mind was Barbarian.
Okay.
Because at least in my experience, from trailer to viewing
Yes.
and throughout, I never quite was right about what I thought was going to happen.
And that was the best part is the trailer makes you think it's one movie.
Yeah.
And then when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this is different.
Yeah.
And then even watching it like 30 minutes in, you're like, oh, this is way different.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
it just keeps twisting and twisting. I'm like, I don't even know what I just watched.
100%. Yeah, so that was a big one for me. I'm sure
Yep.
there are some others recently. Maybe
It's hard when-
Long Legs was a little different.
Yeah, when we've seen so many movies, it's hard to like recall. Like, was I confused at the time, or did I not see this coming, or
Right.
did I, or like, yeah, it happens when I was thinking through my picks, anyways. But,
Yeah. Did you think of any that
I did,
like
yep.
really stood out?
and this is weird because like this movie is promoted in a way where I think you know what's going to happen and go on in it. And I just watched it recently, and I totally forgot how it went. But and you mentioned it earlier, The Descent.
Oh, yes.
The
Yes.
Descent gives you the vibe that it's going to be kind of like. It's hard to tell because it seems like a survival movie,
Right.
Where like these women, it's about a group of women that go splunking in this unmarked cave,
Yeah.
and they're like going deeper and deeper. And you think it's going to be like one of those survival movies where they're like stuck and they have to survive by eating each other or something,
Right, right.
But then it quickly twists into a very scary horror movie. Because they're not alone in that cave,
Right.
And it is one that is just like you don't know what to expect going in,
Yeah.
or maybe you do, and then you're like, oh, this is way more than what I thought.
Well, and the other thing that's crazy about that movie is it starts off with an utter tragedy happening to this couple.
Yes,
That feels akin to what we would now think of being like, a Hereditary or a Midsummer or something like that. That starts with just something really, really terrible happening to a family, or and it feels like. But this was what 2006. Six.
Yep.
Wow. I was gonna say that, but I was like, that's too.
it feels too long ago,
Yeah.
but
That's almost 20 years. That's wild. So it starts off with that, and then they move into the spelunking, and it's like, okay, they're coping with this. Like, this is where they are a few years later or whatever, and coping with this tragedy that happens. And then when it turns into what it turns into, you're like, wait, what is happening here?
what am I here for?
And then it's terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really it's part of the reason to me that As Above, So Below is so terrifying is, man, the claustrophobia of being in like a cave is.
Yep. And that movie does it really well. Like, I feel bad for all the actresses in it.
Oh my gosh,
having to deal
no
with
kidding.
like, I mean, maybe there's movie magic and they weren't really like climbing through the stuff, but it's impressive.
There's got to be some legit panic.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was definitely a surprise.
I would like to. That's another thing. I would love to do a list of like what were the most like
Prolific.
surprising.
Oh.
Yeah. Prolific's a good word.
Well, I thought you were going a different direction with it, but
What direction? Isn't prolific like?
like important horror movies. Like these are the ones that define. Like, could we pick the best horror movie for each year? That's the idea that came to my
That
mind.
would be fun.
You're like, okay, 2003. What
I'm
was
just thinking about the definition of prolific now, but
Yeah.
I'm not looking at anything.
No, I heard breathing, so I looked.
You heard breathing. This is why I'm scared being out here. Tim uses the word, a leaf falls, and he's like, I heard a steady stepping like a
Yeah.
human.
I hear a knife being pulled from a from a wooden block. Shink. Right behind us.
Yeah. Anyways, I would love to do a list of movies that like I feel like those are the best ones. Like when I think about
But then is us telling people that it subverts your expectation, ruining the
100%.
the surprise for them.
Don't look for that video on our channel because we're not going to do it.
Unless
I
you've
just
seen a lot of
decided.
horror movies.
Yeah.
I always hate like
maybe.
I want to see videos where it's like top 100 scares or something.
Yeah.
Or like scary moments, but then it's like, oh, I haven't seen this movie and I would like to be scared.
I
of it.
hate when if I watch a like compilation or something like that. I don't like the way you looked back just now.
Okay, I just heard shuffling again.
Cool. I hate when I want to watch. I see that for like game channels a lot. That's
Yeah.
like the 5 scariest moments and whatever, and it's like okay, but I don't want you to show them to me.
Right.
Like, can you put in the subtitle like we don't show you? Like just
There's
talk
one-
about them.
I think they're called Triple Jump. It's a YouTube channel, and we show spoilers, and they give you a full list of all the things they're going to talk about in the top list. So
That's a good way.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, at least I know I can avoid these movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
yeah.
show or games or whatever.
Yeah, or show or games or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's called.
Shoot, who was that?
That was Ashley. Yep.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
That's a great question, and it really made us think.
I feel.
I think this is the last movie we have to talk about.
Okay.
From our friend Sarah. Sarah recommended When a Stranger Calls.
Yes.
This is from 1979.
Yep. The original, because there is a remake.
That's right. That's right. So, what's interesting about this is Sarah said, and this is clearly there are multiple people of this opinion
Yes.
because this version of the film exists, that there is a subplot in the middle of the movie
Yes.
that really takes away from the pacing of it. So she actually sent us an abridged version with that whole plot cut out. It's still about an hour long, but essentially plays like a shorter, it's just a short film essentially,
Yep.
but still an hour. I don't know. Tim watched the full length version.
Which, may I add, the man who doesn't like movies from the 70s
Yeah.
watched the longer version of a 70s
You
movie.
said you were going to do it. I didn't make you do it.
because I'm not going to watch the short version.
Right. Which I get.
Right. And that's okay. I'm not going to judge you for watching the short version, especially after seeing it. What I want to say before we get into this is the same thing. I told Mom, I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to watch this movie for the podcast.
Sure.
And she was like, she said, I like half the movie. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, you'll see, but there's just like this huge chunk that's just not interesting.
No way.
And she even said that. So like, I can't believe that's such a universal thing with this movie
It's very
that
strange.
everybody agrees. They're like, I don't know what happens.
What's interesting about that is a lot of times people, I mean, I don't know, maybe this isn't true. I feel like a lot of times, at least nowadays, the response to a movie that is half bad is just like, this movie is bad.
This movie's bad.
It's not like, man, there was so much good. But maybe that's not true. But, maybe it just doesn't happen as often that there is such a good beginning and ending to a movie.
Right. Generally, if you're watching a movie, it's either all bad or all good.
Yeah.
I always like to pull out the parts that I like, even if I don't like the movie. But yeah, generally, there's like, it's not like this movie we're about to talk about.
Yeah.
It's very unlike
Yeah,
that.
it feels like it's because maybe it's not all bad or all good, but it's like a lot of movies are at least consistent in there where it's like, well, I didn't love this, but overall it's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But this, for people to be like, yeah, if this whole section was gone, it would be better. So I will say I really enjoyed this.
Yes.
The music maybe weird to start with, but the
Mm-hmm.
music in it is so ominous and weird.
I am so convinced that it's the THX music.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I'm not going to make Brett play it here, but listen to the score of the scary music in When a Stranger Calls, and then pull up a video of the THX like build up music, and I swear to you, it's the same thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
It triggered something in my brain.
Where it's like the wing.
Yeah. Did you look it up and compare it?
I didn't, but I was just so sure of it that I wanted to bring it up on the podcast to see if you felt the same way.
It has to be a similar synthesizer or chord or something because it definitely triggered the same thing in my brain.
It's the same thing.
It didn't sound the same, but it had the energy to me of the It Follows soundtrack where
Okay.
it really stuck out
Yep.
and had like very, I don't know how to describe it, but like very minimalist, like just a few instruments like here and there. It wasn't like a full like orchestral score. It was just a few standout, weird, off-putting noises that they made musical.
Yeah.
And it just stood out really strong and it was really effective. Clearly the inspiration for movies like Scream.
Yes.
And you could just see a lot of influence on so many movies that have come since. And I gotta say, for its time, some legitimate scares that hold up.
I didn't get any like jump scares. Like I wasn't like, oh, but I was definitely like, I was like, wow, this is pretty like,
It's effective.
it's effective. Yeah. Especially like when he calls and it building up and building up because the first 25 minutes is like beautiful. It's so,
Dude, that alone
Yeah.
could be its own short film. This was a similar thing to me as when I watched Psycho.
okay.
Where there's a resolution in a part of the story way earlier than I thought
Yes.
there was.
Psycho's weird like that, but it pulls it off.
Totally.
It pulls it off
totally.
because you do almost get like two separate movies.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's this complete story, and here's kind of like part two or what happens after the
Right.
fact. And it's like a whole nother movie.
And I didn't realize that. I thought the shower scene was like the finale.
Right.
And it is not. Spoiler alert.
yeah.
If you haven't seen Psycho, it's unbelievable. You go watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But for anyone who's unfamiliar, When a Stranger Calls starts with this young babysitter coming and watching the kids of this couple that are going out to dinner, and she starts getting phone calls over and over again, just asking if she's checked on the children, and that's the foundation for the film. She ultimately gets in touch with the police, and they keep an eye on the calls, and when they come through, they track it, and that's where the scary stuff starts.
yeah.
You keep going. I'm going to check the film one more time.
No, it's good. Yeah. So the beginning's super strong, and as the poor sap who had to watch the whole middle bit, I can agree. I can testify to what everybody says. That middle subplot is just so irrelevant to everything. The thing it does, and I could see what they were trying to go for, is it builds up who the caller is because it's about him.
Right. And so I read something that had me intrigued because it was like, the whole middle really humanizes the person and gives you a deeper story, which sounds enticing to me.
Yes. But it's so much of just like nothing of him walking around because it's, there's a police officer, like an older, or he's actually a private investigator, and he was hired to like go check him out because I believe and it confused me because I thought he was released like for being on good terms, and the private eye keeps telling people he escaped, and I think. And I just got confused in it because I was like, did he escape or was he released?
Oh.
And I think he was released, and the private eye's telling people he escaped because he wants to make him like a villain.
No. So you know what's funny? It's weird that I know I don't know if it's because I missed the whole like
Middle part
middle of it.
Yeah.
But one part that was left in the short version that I watched, which is on YouTube, by the way, is that guy who's now a private detective
Yeah.
talking to, I forget who, but he's like, oh, it was a mental institution that he
Right.
was sent to. So he on trial was ruled insane.
Right. So he was in the mental institution.
Right,
Yep.
instead of prison, and he escaped for the mental institution because their security sucked.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's kind of a mixture.
Because that's right after that's where the subplot starts, is what you just
Gotcha,
described.
okay.
So yeah, that's where it begins. And so yeah, that's it's legit like 45 minutes.
Wow.
Where he is the private investigators tracking him down, and there's like this whole subplot where he's like, It's weird because I could see what they were trying to do. It was just executed poorly because he is like almost seems like he's trying to be a good guy.
Right.
Because so in your version, did you see him at all until
So
the end?
I see that part that I just mentioned, and
Yep.
then I see. What was it? You see the private investigator find him and have like a rundown.
I'll
with
have
him.
like okay.
And then
So that happens technically like at the end of the subplot.
okay, so
like
that's
the
pretty
final
much
part
where
of
it jumps to.
Okay.
And it was kind of confusing because you're just like, they show the guy who's apparently like the caller,
Yes.
and you don't quite know what he looks like at that point. So I'm like,
Yep.
who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, because you really, unless you see everything before that, because you don't see the caller at all at the beginning.
No.
Yeah, so that's interesting they took that out. Because the
Well,
chase
it was
scene-
just like someone just, kind of choppily edited it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks fine.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but they just cut out a big section of it.
Yep.
and-
Yeah, I it's not necessary because it's just nothing. It doesn't matter until that chase scene. You get the context of like him, like who he is, I guess, a little bit, but he doesn't do anything scary. He doesn't do anything. There's like one scary part, but again, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just all fluff. It's just all fluff.
And the end matches the intensity of the beginning. Like the
Yes.
whole end finale, it's like 30 minutes and it's intense.
Mhm.
And there's a couple of like misdirects that are really, I don't know if you'd call them misdirects, but yeah, I think it matches the intensity of the first 30 minutes.
Yes.
And they both, I think, could be like I said, like the first one could be a short film on its own. The end, you need the beginning for it to be as effective as it is. But
Yep. I think that they had this idea and it was too short and they needed to do something else to
think
make it
so.
because like I don't know the rules for theater releases and stuff, but at the time 79, I mean they probably needed to hit like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. This one ended up being like an hour and 40.
I
Right?
gotta say, in concept, it sounds cool. Like, take a murderer who then was let out or then escaped into society and is trying to reacclimate. Like, that sounds
It could be done well. This
Yeah.
one just didn't do it.
bummer.
Mm-hmm.
So, keeper or sleeper, having watched the full one.
Full one, it sucks because that middle part is really like so boring.
Mhm.
It's really like I'm like, but the beginning and the end is so strong
Yeah.
that I would say it's a keeper because it's worth seeing that beginning and end. But obviously, if you can find the 50-minute version that Brett watched,
I
do
think
that.
that's the move.
and
'cause-
maybe read what happens in the middle or something.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure what I'd missed.
Mhm.
And what you just described, it sounds like, based on what you said and what I read,
Yeah,
you do get what's essential in the middle. Like, you know that the officer from the beginning is now a private investigator, all that stuff. Absolutely, I would say it's a keeper.
For sure.
It was ahead of its time, definitely a trailblazer, and I'd say a must-see for fans of horror and or thriller movies.
yeah. It probably. I'd probably watch it again at some point in the future, but it's not like a multi-year watch or whatever.
Yeah, right, for sure. Dude,
Did we do it?
I think we did it.
We achieved it.
We did it.
We did get a bunch of other suggestions. I do want to point out that we either intend to talk about later or might just watch on our own and talk to each other about
Yeah.
it. But I do appreciate we appreciate everybody giving suggestions. And
Yeah.
I think there's a giveaway, right? There's some sort of giveaway if
Are
you
we
gave a
prepared?
recommendation.
Yeah, are we doing that now? Do you have a way to...
I don't.
So we'll let you know.
We could pause and set it up, but I don't know.
I'm a little nervous about our battery power of everything. I'm
Right.
going to be 100% honest with you
So
guys.
we could totally just do it online on. We could either do just like a short live video, or
Yeah.
there's tons of ways we'll do it. So we'll get back to you guys on
Yeah,
that.
anyone who submitted a recommendation,
Mhm.
you're entered in the giveaway for the special. So
Yes.
we'll get in touch with you. We'll post it somehow or some way. But we are stoked to be back.
Yes.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. If this is your first time, feel free to like and subscribe accordingly. We would love for you to hang out with us more, and you will get regular podcasts from us again.
Yep.
What else? I don't know if we have anything else.
Have a happy Halloween.
Yes, enjoy your holiday season. We hope to hear from you in the comments.
Yes.
And I guess that's it. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for being amazing. And yeah, it is currently 12:30 at night, so we're gonna go. Yeah, we're gonna get out of the cold.
Yeah,
But yes, thanks for listening. And if you're listening, please go watch the video because we sat out in the cold for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, you should check out the video.
because it's a fun one. We had a good time.
Just look at how cool the setting is.
Right. It's the best.
Take a glance.
Just take a glance.
But we do appreciate our listeners.
Yeah, you guys rock.
My mic is freezing.
Yeah, so I like my water bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cold.
My phone was frozen too. Anyways, we're gonna go wrap up. So thank you guys for being amazing.
Bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Very cool. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and to the Keep Up podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also find us at patreon.com/thekeepup, where you can support us monthly for as little as $1 per month, and you can get yourself some cool Keep Up merch in our Etsy shop. Links are down below.
Ready to get started?
On what?
We're doing the bumpers, aren't we?
Yes, we're doing the bumpers. Do you have, you got the remote?
Of course.
Just hit record and we'll ready to go.
All right.